Oh, hello. Impromptu. Right now, we would have been starting the Seven Samurai, but for the second week in a row, I had some technical issues, but I got them figured out. The only bad thing about it is figuring out because I was going back and forth with Vince, who usually handles these things for me. He's not able to back us up this time around because he doesn't have any internet going on, but we were able to figure out the format and how we want to do it, how we want to route it through. But I did not bring my headset. I don't have a headset here because I've been doing those streams exclusively at the house. So in order to keep all that kosher, I'm going to need my headset so that the sound doesn't carry over. So I've decided to move that till tomorrow at 4 p.m. But yeah, I tested it out today. Everything works. So I just need to be able to reroute the sound on two different formats so that we can watch on one and have our host onto the others. So I did this impromptu just so you guys didn't have a gap in time. This is going to be a quick one. Won't be on the air too much longer. I went ahead and posted the link into the chat. So for those of you Patreon, not chat, but the Patreon, for those of you Patreons who want to come on for a couple minutes, you can. But like I said, the primary stream is going to be tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And here's YouTube again. I think it's StreamYard's not letting people know I'm on the air. Last couple of nights I've been on the air, I did not get a notification that I was even on, and which is kind of disturbing because if I'm hosting a show and I'm on my own stream, I'm not getting a notification. That means a lot of people are not getting notifications. So I guess YouTube is handling things differently. So some of you may not even be getting this notification. I'll see how the delay works. Let's see. So right now I've been on the air for 4 minutes right now, and I have not gotten a notification that I am on the air. Yep, still waiting. So a lot of people who will get this are going to be straggling through. A lot of people are going to be driving, but yeah, just wanted to put that news out there. Also, this weekend, still haven't come up with the all the topics for this week. In fact, I don't have any topics. We've been covering things as they've been coming up. So a lot of the stuff we will have already had covered by the time, but we'll go over them again. Anthony Mazzano, William, what heroes and villains from Marvel would you want them to do for a Marvel Spotlight banner? Just the main ones: Punisher, Ghost Rider, Elektra, Daredevil, those kind. I would merge. I don't think they're gonna do a spotlight banner per se. I think they'll do one in name only. I think it'll kind of be a mixture between that and what Marvel Knights was because those characters they already have. I just hope they do a good job in it, and don't water it down. But those would be the ones right there. Let's see. Yep, still no notification that I'm live. So if I'm off the air by some of the time some of you guys see this, sorry. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but we are not. It's not sending out the notifications, and since I moved the other one to tomorrow, you will probably have gotten a notification for that because that was already in the system. But for the ones that we do, within a couple hours, it's been having a problem with getting notifications on. So, but like I said, I just wanted to make sure that people who showed up to the channel at 4 o'clock um, didn't just look at a blank screen and thinking I got my days confused. No, I did not. I got everything figured out that I needed to get figured out, and now I'm ready to go with the Curacao tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So that makes tomorrow another long Saturday between us. 3 hours, 3.5 hours of that, and then another possibly 3 hours of the actual anchor show tomorrow night. What's going on, Spider-Man?
What's the good word?
Not much, man. Just getting through Saturday. Like I said, I spent the afternoon figuring out how I want to do this. I thought I had it, but the one thing me and Vince, the conclusion we came to is the reason why it was so easy for us to do it on our other streams is that I was the host of the actual stream itself while he hosted with his browsers the Twitch things. So now in this case, because we don't have him, I'm doing it all. So I had to route things through different things in order to not have it a public stream as far as the content. The content is private, and our stream itself, that us talking, us being on the stream with the Patreons, was public. But the other ones you had to link, otherwise the algorithm would have shut us down. We wouldn't have been able to continue because it would have tripped us up. So figured out all that today, and then like I said, once I figured that out, I realized that I didn't have headsets to be able to pull it off, because you have to have the headset, otherwise the sound bleeds back at us. And the same thing I was trying to avoid would end up happening, because you can watch this movie, but at the same time YouTube has these automatic things that kicks you off, and it's not. They did it for Tudum. We had approval for Netflix's Tudum. We had approval to do that, and we still, YouTube's algorithm shut us down, and it fucked up my stream for a good week. That was one of my favorite streams. I had to download it, cut out the stuff that they were saying was copyrighted, and then put it back up, only to have them 3 days later remove the copyright because it was a mistake. So
sounds like a true pain in the ass.
It is, and it sucks because I have segments on my show to where we feature music, and I can't play the music. I understand why I can't do that, but it kind of sucks because I'm trying to convey to you what this music means. Yeah, but I can't because it sucks. I have trailers, and it really sucks. Like tonight, we're being sponsored by Thanksgiving, the movie, and Hunger Games, so I'm gonna, I have permission to play those trailers because we're sponsoring those movies, so we can do that. But it's like other stuff, random stuff. YouTube just has this built-in thing, and I understand why they have it. They don't want to get sued, But at the same time, I'm like, well, if the content creator if the content creator's whole point was for you to spread the word, then let me spread the word. That's a dumb thing. Just really pissed me off. But other than that, man, it's another Friday. The weather is pretty decent, a little bit on the chilly side, but you know what? I have no complaints about chilly stuff.
You live in Nevada, so you get it while you can have it, right?
Yeah, 110 for
man. Tell me about it. I'm right next door going through it sometimes, so I get it. What did you end up watching Loki last night? What'd you think? You don't have to give spoilers.
I love the finale. I really enjoyed it. I thought it could have used another 20 minutes too, because there's a lot of stuff in there that I understood outright, but I could understand why a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions about how he did what he did and why he did what he did. And
I definitely watched it with a different outlook based on your breakdown of Kane on, I guess, was it Tuesday or Monday or whatever? You did a little 20-minute breakdown of Kane on one of your streams. I really
I wish I'd have had this episode. Yeah, this episode actually adds to that, because if you read the comics, it kind of happens this way as well, the way it happens in there.
So do you see maybe we do not maybe this week, but maybe incorporate that into your turning point, as it's going to have it'll give us kind of an outline of what we might be able to expect in the forthcoming MCU.
What we might do is Loki, what is the god of stories, is that that's basically what the storyline was. That's basically what this wrapped up. It ended up being. That's not too much of a spoiler, because you can kind of see that's where he was going when once he said I can rewrite the story. Then that's exactly what he said in that particular comic book.
I'm not super familiar with the God of Stories line, but one thing, I got my nephew loves watching this shit with me. So one thing I go back and forth with him about is, now that Loki's, appears to be more powerful, and Hiddleston is such a good actor as Loki, are we going to be able to see the trickster god in effect, or is that chapter since passed?
No, because I can't really answer that without messing it up for people.
Okay.
But remember where he is. Remember where our Loki in the TV show is, and what he is.
Yeah.
And not everything's gonna happen. I guarantee that the Loki dying in was it not Endgame, but Infinity War?
Yeah.
That's not necessarily how things would end for him, because of all these things that are happening.
I always to the kids sometimes I break it down to them like, the Loki that you see in the show Loki, right? He's a 2012 Loki outside of time, whereas the 2019 Loki 7 years in the future died. I mean, that's the basis of the variant right there.
Yeah, he evolved. They evolved in two different directions, and the one that evolved is Loki, but he's not. There's still a Loki that will be part of our timeline. Yeah, that will die, or that will live, or that'll be resurrected.
Whatever ends up happening. I was definitely when you were talking about incorporating the story, and I don't think this is going to spoiler territory. This is more about what you were talking about, King. I really appreciated that you tied together the Eternals with the Celestial hanging out of the Earth, the possibility of tying that to the X-Men with Ramatut, and different things that they could actually spread their tentacles and maybe tie together or have a possibility with Kang messing the timeline up. So I appreciate that you brought that stuff to light. So
Well, you also have the X gene, because remember, everything, all these species that were created by their experimentation, the mutant gene, the deviant gene is all part of that.
wait a
So,
second. Can I get correction on that?
mhm,
Clarification, I should say. I thought the deviant gene wasn't the mutant gene. I thought the mutant gene was an offshoot of what the Eternals set for humanity, because the deviant gene's mutation on Skrullos created the Skrulls. Because if you correct me if I'm wrong, but the Celestials, when they set up whatever the original Skrull planet was before they became conquerors, the deviants won out their fight between their Eternals and their deviants, and then the mutation happened from there, and that's what created the shape-shifting skulls, right? Because they're not only is their mutation a dominant, but the deviant gene pool won out as well. Am I mistaken when I say that, or is that wrong?
okay, yes, the
Okay.
deviant gene is what gives the shape-shifting scrolls their shape-shifting
Because they're
ability.
deviant, they're the form of humanity that would be deviant dominant as opposed to eternal dominant, correct?
Correct.
Yes, and then the mutation goes from there, right? That's the shape-shifting aspect of them.
No,
Okay.
that's not okay, because it's no longer a mutation at that point.
I thought they had their X gene kick into their
The
deviant.
Okay,
So I
the
thought that
X
was a
okay, no, no,
compound
no.
thing.
When you talk about an X gene is a random gene. When that gene is applied, when it's an X gene, it's applied, it has different
Outcomes.
unpredictable outcomes.
Right.
What the experimentation, the deviant gene, when it applies to the Celestials' initial experiments, for the most part, gave a consistent trait. So when you applied it to the Skrulls,
Mm-hmm.
the Skrulls all had the same. Those the deviant Skrulls all had the same ability to shapeshift, whereas
Mm-hmm.
the other ones did not.
Okay.
And it was the deviant Skrulls that eventually wiped out all but one of the non-deviant Skrulls, which was Clyde Ben, who was the Eternal, who was the original Eternal God. That's why they consider him a god.
Right.
He in turn talked them into, if you wipe me out, you're wiping out your heritage. And then they began to worship him as a god, and that's what the whole Secret Invasion was eventually about. That was, you actually saw him. So he's technically an eternal god type of situation. He has no shape-shifting powers. When you apply the deviant gene to a human, the traits become unpredictable, and that's what makes it a random mutation.
So
So
the X gene is a basis of the deviant gene.
I have always understood it to be that way, but it all depends on who's writing it too.
It does get a little convoluted, but I wanted to make sure I was on the line with that, because that's something I've been pondering for. I mean, I always have in the back of my head for a long time when a lot of these Skrull versus the Kree stories and Skrull invasion stories happen. I always keep that in the back of my mind, what the basis of it all is, and I also keep Thanos in mind because he's an Eternal with the deviant gene in him.
Exactly.
Right.
Thanos is actually a human.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because they set up, if I'm not mistaken, they set up a eternal human society on what's
Mars.
the moon called?
Titan.
The Titan moon. They had a whole society before.
That's why Titan. That's why you call him Titan.
Yes.
So Thanos actually has human DNA, because all
Exactly.
Eternals, all those Eternals
are the basis of humanity.
Yeah, they came from Earth. They were the original experiments that the Celestials had. So Thanos actually has a
more human connection than most of the villains that we see in space or whatever.
But when you add the deviant gene that rolls throughout their race, either side, he still has those truffles, and that's a trait.
I was just gonna say that's the similarity between the Skrulls and Thanos is in the chin, right? So
yeah, but his
that's
mutation,
the indicator of deviance.
His mutation is not. He doesn't shapeshift or anything else. He has superhuman strength. He's purple, so he has a lot of non-human traits about him. So
and he has a healing factor. He has a higher healing factor than a Wolverine, even, right?
Yeah, and a lot of it, and then it's hard to differentiate between what he's added to himself as well.
Sure.
But No, when you apply like and Thanos would be a perfect case when you he's basically a mutant because he
Yeah.
has a gene that carried over that
He's
had
just a mutant at a different entry point because
yeah
our mutation, our entry point is at humanity. His mutation entry point is deviance into the eternal line because he was born to 2 eternal parents, right?
he was born to 2 eternal parents, but Eternals are human.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so he's
Yeah.
actually an outright mutant. He's not he didn't come through a different way. He's out his deviant gene was applied to, for the most part, is a human gene because that deviant gene was entered in at the same type of experiments that gave you the Eternals.
Clear that. Thanks for clearing that up for me.
Yeah. So you could technically say that if you wanted to write the story this way, is that the Eternals, if they're outside of time or whether they're inside of time, they know what the results of their experimentations have been. And so they should see Kang or anybody else who messes with that timeline as a nuisance because they're inhibiting the results of their
plan.
experimentation. Yeah, because they're there to determine whether humankind is going to evolve beyond just what we are now, and they don't look at us as much. So if you're talking now, if you rewrite the timeline to where mutants are part of that evolution, now that would be the basis of them coming
right
back.
When you said was Ramatut could introduce us to. I mean, it happens in the comics too, but there would be an easy point for somebody watching a movie to get the Ramatut Apocalypse connection going.
Yeah, because he comes back and you
Right.
clearly, when you see Apocalypse, if you're sitting in the middle of a comic book movie and you don't recognize him, and not the Ivan Ooze one, but if it's a legit looking
I'm with you
Ensign Nora, and all he has to say is he walks into the chambers, whoever's guarding him, and he's like, there he is, Ensign Nora. We're gonna know who Ensign Nora is, and Ramatut will know what mutant kind is because he's coming from the future.
He's coming from the future.
And all he says, here he is within my grasp, the very first mutant. In fact, hold on for a second.
Well, he's over there. I see your question back there, Anthony. So if it's a separate banner for Marvel, specifically with Marvel Spotlight, what alternative versions of Spider-Man would you like to see? I mean, the movies kind of the movies, the Spider-Verse movies are doing a good job, but I do like 2099 Spider-Man. I'm a 90s kid, so I like that cheesy aspect of it. I don't know. I kind of want them to flesh out the Spider-Man they have, or go a little further than 3 villains or 4 villains in the course of 3 movies. So I'm cool with the Peter Parker Spider-Man if we can get more of a fleshed out good story. Miles is not really a variant, although he comes from another universe. It could be cool to see Miles, but I like William. I kind of agree with William on that. Letting the Peter Parker that we have kind of gestate and see where that goes. But if I had to get an alternate Spider-Man, I guess 2099 would be cool. Scarlet Spider's not really he's a clone of Peter Parker. Ben Reilly's a clone of Peter Parker. So I mean, if they did the Clone Wars and they didn't make it all crazy, I guess that would be cool. But I guess 2099 would be my answer.
No. So there's a cover. This is I think this is Kang. I think this is actually an issue of Kang, because if you read the new series of Kang, it goes throughout his entire string of life. So
is it a retcon history like that Weapon X thing they're doing with Wolverine, or they did a couple years ago at Wolverine, where they try to explain the whole Weapon X process?
Sort of. So this is Kang. This is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not as much as that. This is more so because it's dealing with time. So that's Kang. Okay. There's Kang, and it basically explains to you all his origins, and it's explaining it to you from Kang's point of view. It's hard to bring a comic out here, but yeah, it's giving you different versions. It's explaining to you what he is. So if you're Ramatut, and Ramatut is on the cover, if you're Ramatut, in fact, if the FF movie is coming out in 2025, I don't, that's what I'm hearing. So if the FF movie is coming out in 2025,
you could have them go on an adventure where they go in the past and see Ramatut, and then you also get you get a peek at Apocalypse possibly in the.
Well, I think Kang should be the major villain in
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four, because he would be part of the explanation of where they've been,
where they came from,
why they've been,
and a lot of their stories lend themselves to being able to just hop in a dimension or show up in a dimension and have something be explained like that. Because the Richards are always in a different dimension or on a different planet, or
Or actually, no, it wouldn't be Kang. It should be Ramatut.
Ramatut should be the villain. Well,
Ramatut
the Kang
should
variant
be the villain.
Ramatut. Yes, I see
Yeah,
what you mean.
because it's from Ramatut.
Mm-hmm.
Ramatut, when he escapes them from Fantastic Four #8, he journeys back into that. So I would have to do that. But yeah, you could easily introduce that in. And like I said, once the broken timelines are restored, then the Celestials will see their experiments have gone, because if the Celestials exist outside of time, say they exist outside of time, they see the difference.
Yeah.
But if they exist inside of time, and they don't see their experiments showing fruition, they're gonna give Earth the thumbs down. But even to the point where Ramatut is, they would even spare everything and spare Kang, because they know Kang and Ramatut are the same thing. And in order for their experiments not to be disrupted, they would just let that go, because mutant kind is for them an example of the evolution of humankind. So
two things for you here, William. Chappie's here, and then you had a couple people jump in the chat.
Hey guys,
and numbers and Rax saying hi and stuff. So
what's
what's going on, Chappie?
oh nothing. Oh no stuff much. How about you?
I'm all right. I got to watch Loki yesterday, and I caught the second episode of Invincible yesterday, so I thought it was pretty enjoyable.
I haven't watched any of Loki yet.
Okay.
Wow,
oh really?
Dude.
You caught up. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
I mean, I
stuff.
love the first season of Loki, but
I think it's much better, in my opinion. So yeah. So if you like the first season, it's more of the good stuff.
Because I love the first season.
Way better. It's
because
way
I
better.
love the first season, but I wasn't really impressed by the trailers, especially with that weird McDonald's tied in.
You can't go off the cover of a book. You gotta get into the meat of it.
Too much to explain in that. There's too much to explain that the trailers can never do it justice. The trailers basically just let you know that, hey, here's the season 2. But that McDonald's thing is very relevant. All that stuff that you saw in the trailer in context is very relevant. So let's see. Yeah, Fox. They said that that's a possibility because of the state of Paramount. Paramount Global is only an $8 billion company, but once again, it's $8 billion within debt that they would have to consolidate. But they could probably, even Warner Brothers could possibly do that. That's something that may or may not happen. I would see that more as a possibility than Universal wanting to buy Warner Brothers, because right now Warner Brothers just wouldn't be worth it, to be honest with you. And they wouldn't split up the IPs to make it to where you wouldn't be able to not take up all that debt. So, all right. So yeah, we're just here for a little bit just to
But yeah,
all right, Mighty Rex.
I definitely will binge watch it for sure. I'll binge watch it next week.
I can't really answer your question, Mighty Rex, without spoiling it for people, so I won't bring it up. Sorry, I'll bring it up tomorrow though. We'll do a spoiler review of Loki tomorrow.
Chappie, you're gonna have to go dark for like 20 minutes tomorrow, so you don't ruin your experience.
Unless you're gonna binge watch it before. It's only 6 episodes, so it's not like
it's only 6 hours, Loki, and we know you don't got nothing to do. Just watch 6 hours of something right until tomorrow. That's your homework. I'm just messing.
Yeah. Sorry about the picture. I have my own profile picture. I didn't really feel like showing my face today, so I just popped in one of my favorite alien characters.
The hell is that?
That's
that Elizabeth Shaw.
Yep. I love Prometheus.
Not the way she ended up.
Yeah, I know it's sad, but she's amazing. And Prometheus, that's my second favorite alien movie of all time. So,
but yeah, that's pretty much. Once again, you put 2 things in the chat. I can't really answer unless you want me to ruin it.
Do you have a plan for the Turning Point tomorrow or the album tomorrow?
Not really.
I was going to ask you. What do you guys think of the new box office with Marvel's only bringing in like $600 million, making less than the Flash opening weekend?
Said $600 million?
I think it was 6. It was very low from what I saw.
It is going to be what it's going to be. It doesn't have the major players that, like I said, the drug that Marvel is put you on is the big, giant, connecting, understandable story with a bunch of A-list players. I think they are still putting together a story. They're just not doing it in the explosive manner. So you're going you're going to get the box office. The Flash, you can't compare the Flash to anything because the Flash had more internal bad business being done. If the Flash was just released without all the mismanagement, the Flash would have done well.
Yeah.
Also,
but
if
you
it
can't
was
release.
maybe when
Yeah.
like 10 other movies were being released in a 2-week period.
Well, that and the fact that you had bad management, you had some poor decisions being made by the new management. You had no supporting movies leading up to the junior varsity player that you were putting on the
And
screen.
also you had the James Gunn announcement.
That
also
too.
hurt it.
That's bad management. I put that in the bad management.
Yeah.
Cycle. So yeah, it's the Flash. When people compare, well, this movie did more to the Flash or less of the Flash. You can't unless you're going to understand that the situations that came along with DC movies in general were not ones that other studios are going to have. Marvel didn't have that problem. You know, Marvel has different problems, but Marvel has temporary problems of what Marvel has. The things that DC has are systemic that need to be fixed. And even once they're fixed, people are going to have to. Like I said, if you got a mechanic you've never had work on your brakes and stuff like that, you're going to test some bad boys out before you go on the highway. And that's what it's going to be with DC. You have to know that this is for real this time and that you're not wasting your time because that's their only history. The only history DC Films has right now is wasting a lot of people's time, and nobody wants to jump into that right now. We'll wait. Like I said, not completely out of it.
Well, I think DC has the potential to beat out Marvel.
They've always had the potential to beat out Marvel. That's just the execution, usually.
Yeah. It's the difference between Marvel and DC is management. Difference between Marvel and DC is management. That's it. Poor decisions made by one group, better decisions made by other groups. Not listening to the wrong people, listening to fanboys and dumb fucks on YouTube like us or
and Rotten Tomatoes
to make your decisions. You can listen to us, by the way, but you don't. By no means, you're a fucking fool if you make your decision making by that subset of people, and that's what Feige never did. Feige never did that shit. He just did
say, William. I don't want to backtrack too far.
The problem was even with I think they freaked out over BVS and Suicide Squad because it got bashed by critics, and since the other Marvel movies were getting great Rotten Tomato scores Age of Ultron and Ant-Man, Warner Brothers were kind of mad at Zack Snyder because he was making them look bad, which is kind of stupid, but I don't know.
Well, that's bad management, and like I said, it wouldn't have mattered what kind of
those movies still made money. That's what people don't understand. Those movies still made money. BVS and Suicide Squad, even though people like to say that
Suicide Squad was a disaster and it made money. But if you look at what
BVS still made. But again, BVS still made over $870 million worldwide. And people like to say, "Oh, that's a failure because it didn't make $1 billion."
Well, that's because you had, like I said, bonehead YouTubers, Twitter heads, and pundits. And idiot executives coming up with stupid expectations. See, what they did with Marvel is like I said, they put their plan in place and they stuck with it. They stuck with it and they had faith in their plan. They stuck with it. They made adjustments where they needed to make them, and that's it. They didn't do wholesale destruction every time somebody shit in their pants. That's what DC did.
Well, Marvel didn't really. But again, Marvel didn't really have that much misfires. Only maybe For the Dark World or because even coming
they
up
had
to that,
several misfires.
Yeah, it's just that they're good at picking up their slack.
Yeah,
they have a lot of good movies surrounding their shit.
Fan.
Yeah,
because they don't go publicly doing stupid stuff. They don't panic. They don't start turning it over the tables.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that Marvel has ran up against, you don't know, because when they've had to make adjustments, they do it the right way. They do it behind closed doors. They do it beneath the waves. And so that, because listen, DC is not the only studio that's had to replace somebody or change course. It's when you change course and you don't have a better one, that's when it becomes obvious that you don't know what you're doing. See, there's been plenty of times where Marvel's changed course, but we didn't see it, obviously, because they knew what they were doing and it was seamless. So Marvel has as many issues as DC did. It's how they're managed. It's how they're managed.
Also, I think the problem with Marvel is I think they put out way too much content. Because when Bob Chapek took over, he kind of wanted so much, more and more content, and that kind of trimmed down the product a little bit more. So,
well, that was, to his defense, that's what Iger and them told him to do. That was he didn't just do that. They told him to do that because they wanted Disney Plus to become the focal point of their streaming, and now they're backing away, and which I think is fucking dumb because you like I said, you do the math. How much can I make off of having 80 to 90 million subscribers paying me $15 a month versus how many movies can I put in the theaters and how many people get a cut of that money before it gets back to me. To me, you can be an absolute dummy, but if you take off your shoes and use your hands, you could probably count higher than that and come to the conclusion that if you want that type of volume of money, if your stockholders want their stock values to be what they are, you're not going to reach that type of volume with movies. How many movies can any studio make within a year, and how many that's just excluding the fact that not all your movies are going to be billion-dollar movies. So if you're Warner Brothers and you put 12 movies in there, and say for the best case scenario is that all of them are 12 billion, right? Okay, but you're pulling in 1.5 to 2 if you got that many subscribers a month. That math doesn't match up, and the cost for you to get that money is, even if you invest highly in your streaming content, is going to be a lot less than your returns that you're going to get from the theaters, because there's no middleman. There's no cutting up of that pie, and you go directly to your consumer. So, like I was saying last night, when you get these guys that come on here and say, "Oh, we're moving towards a theatrical brand," I'm like, either you're lying or you're dumb, and none of these guys are stupid. There's just no way. I mean, like I said, best case scenario of any of these studios, the amount of money that they bring in annually from theatrical releases versus where the potential of their streaming service could be. Why aren't you invest? People are like, why would they invest that much in their streaming service? Because of what it pulls in. Why do you invest $185 million into a movie that's going to give you diminishing returns? Well, you're not getting 100% of that profit.
That's kind of like what Warner Bros. Was doing. They were kind of putting one of DC movies on streaming, but it kind of misfired a little bit.
Well, it misfired.
Like Batgirl and
the decision was right. The execution was wrong. Just because when people try something and they fuck it up because they're too stupid to execute, that doesn't mean that that's something that they were doing was the wrong answer. That just means you got to get better people to do it. That's all. I agree with putting streaming as if we were talking about financially speaking, you're always going to have enough movies to put in the theaters to rotate into your streaming service. But I think the streaming service should be the priority because of the.
And why did they not do that with Wild Coyote?
For a director, because of he changed it. He says because in order
the movie was finished, it got great.
It wasn't completely. And test scores don't mean shit. The movie wasn't finished. Principal photography was finished. Now, when you're talking about principal photography on something that's a hybrid CGI
that means reshoots.
Oh, that means the other half of the movie still has to be shot. That CGI has to be done. That's another $30 million. Now, if you're putting this in the theater, which was a mistake from the Hamada regime to even make that decision, you're talking about spending more than it's worth. Like I said last night, it wasn't worth it to complete. It wasn't worth it. Where Warner Brothers is with animation, you just wasn't going to get diminishing returns. Now,
I mean, I understand that, but I think you would have gotten a more decent outcome if you would have put it on streaming.
Well, you still have to finish it.
Yeah,
it wasn't worth completing. That's the thing. If it was complete, maybe. But when you're talking about what
but you don't think that's like kind of like a bad work though, that maybe like filmmakers don't want to.
They don't.
Filmmakers don't want to like come to work at the studio anymore.
No, like I explained last night, I think it was Donovan who brought this up. These people are not fanboys. All right, producers, directors, and actors are not fanboys without all the information. They're in the business. They know what Brad management was before.
Freeze a little bit their
this
way.
New management took over. They know that this management's not the one who greenlit this movie. Yeah. Oops.
Well, yeah. I mean, the one who greenlighted was Toby Emmerich. That was part of the.
Excuse me. You're caught back up, William. Go ahead, Chappie. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, the one who greenlighted Wild Coyote was Toby Emmerich. That was part of the old dude's regime, though.
Hold on, guys. I'm gonna switch.
Last time we switched, we ended up getting William Kang Powell. Kang took out the original William variant. So go ahead and hit your point, Chappie. You're still talking. I'm listening. I'm sure the chat's still interested.
Well, again, that was part of the old regime, though. That's what kind of made me fall back to the, like, even when they first announced it, I always thought it was kind of an odd premise, but I was still willing to give it a shot. But again, I just don't know if a Wild Coyote movie can even make money, especially if you don't have, like,
where's the Roadrunner, right?
Yeah.
You know what
all you
I'm
have like Looney Tunes characters. That's kind of like what I thought.
I'm
Because
pretty sure. it is.
remember
Could've
back on
been.
action. Back on Action was a big bomb for Warner Brothers at the time. Looney Tunes
The
back on
Brendan Fraser
Action.
one is
Yeah.
that what it was? The Brendan Fraser one.
Yeah.
But real quick though, when because I hear this over and over again, studios aren't going to want to work with you because this, and that. Like I said, studios aren't fanboys. Studios work with these people. Studios have conversations with these executives and these executive producers and these actors and actresses and all that we don't have. It's a bad look for a fanboy because we're so
Right in the middle of
far
freezing.
out of the window. We got our faces put in the window trying to hear what's going on while the important people are talking. Huh?
You
Did I freeze
right
again?
in the middle of your word, yeah. It caught you back up though, so I'll just shut up when it happens. See what happens.
Okay, yeah, there's nothing I can do about it now. That's just probably that's more StreamYards than anything else. But yeah, so no, I don't think there's going to have any problem. In fact, some of the same people who've had their product shelves are probably going to be still doing business with Warner Brothers because unlike a fanboy, they understand how the business works.
Well,
They
the
understand these things
director,
happen.
Dave Green, is still doing a new movie. He's doing a new movie with New Line, which New Line
Yeah,
is owned by
It's still
Warner
Warner
Brothers.
Brothers,
So it's like,
And the Batgirl guys would probably jump at the chance to do something because they understand.
yeah.
They understand. So,
I mean,
but yeah, when it comes to,
those two guys know they made a bad movie, so they would easily come back at the chance.
well, when they know that the decisions are, it's not personal. Like I said, people online take stuff personal and go crazy and make a tweet.
But
These people, they can't afford to do that. You can't
But
afford to be
I do
stupid
feel
in
bad
real life.
for Wesley Grace still. I'm sure that must have been hard for her
She
to
got
take
paid.
in.
She
I mean,
got
I
paid.
know she got paid, but it's like, just think about like that's supposed to be like your first big breakout role, and then when you find out that like your whole movie's just been shelved, it's just kind of hard to take
I mean,
in. And
it
now like,
sucks.
but I mean, I know
But-
it's the business, but like now like they're not even gonna like recast her. They're gonna look for someone else as Batgirl. In that
Who
universe.
knows? She might even get it. First of all, we should be so far away from seeing a Batgirl that that movie coming out would have been another disaster, another derivative character in the place of a character that we're supposed to see. And we're gonna have Michael Keaton in there. Yeah, great. So this generation, who's probably doesn't care,
don't
about
know
that
who he
generation,
is. Yeah,
don't know
that's
who he
the
is.
thing.
And I have people like, oh, it's back there in 1989. You don't know how important
Right.
Keaton was. Keaton does not mean jack shit to a millennial. All
to
right,
somebody who's like 25 or younger. It's
Well,
not
that's
that,
why
you
they
know.
canceled the third Michael Keaton movie, the Batman Beyond.
And so yeah, I mean, I loved Keaton. I thought he did a great job in The Flash.
Yeah,
But
it
when
wasn't
he was
bad.
first
No.
announced, everybody was like, "Oh, I'm going to see it for Keaton. I'm going to see it for Keaton. I hate Ezra Miller." Okay, all 30 of you that talked all that shit about backing Michael Keaton in this movie, you mathematically look what you meant. You mathematically were irrelevant. So there you go. Who is typing something at me? Hold on. Somebody.
Hey,
knows
can
I'm
I?
on there.
Oh, no, I gotta get some stuff. Let me I'll be back on. Hold on.
Go ahead, dude.
So William, while you're kind of multitasking there, you showed that Kang series. You said that came out last year.
Yeah, it came out a couple years ago.
Is that a complete run right now or no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's done. I think it was a 12-issue or 8-issue miniseries.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
here's number 1. This is a variant cover. I had them all, but yeah, we're all. Kang the Conqueror came out in. Let's see. Yeah, it's a good read. I think it came out in 2021.
Okay, so 3
Yeah,
years ago.
by Jackson Lanzig and Colin Kelly. They used to tell me right on the thing, but I know I've ordered this again, and it just shows you the journey of his Kang. It's like a retelling of his origin.
Is it kind of like that Marvel's miniseries they did where it just goes over everybody's origin story from the
More so
what
his,
but
but within,
his, yeah.
within himself,
Okay.
because it's a telling of Kang. This is 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, it came out a couple of years ago. Let's see. What do we got in here?
Numbers has some questions. You got somebody named Unfiltered asking questions.
Phil's
Your
in
duck-
here? Where's Phil?
Your duck homies here.
Yeah, Clint, yeah. How you feeling, by the way, Clint? Clint's been a little bit under the weather.
And Chappie says he's back.
I see him. Hold on, I get what I'm.
And I think Brad's taking a nap because
Brad's got a
no
thing.
smoke.
What did I miss? Nothing. I was just explaining to people while I'm doing this instead of I had some issues with our Seven Samurai screening, but we're gonna do it. Damn it! I figured everything out. I just didn't have my headset here at the store, so I'm gonna do it tomorrow at 4:00. We're talking about the whole Acme versus whatever Wile E. Coyote thing that got canceled, and why those kind of things got canceled, and whether or not actors and actresses and creatives are not going to work with Warner Brothers over this. I say they're not. It's not going to matter because unlike, like I said, fanboys care about stuff that people who actually get paid and actually are in the business and actually have their livelihoods intertwined with this don't care about. Obviously it affects them as far as, wow, that's a disappointment. But as far as like a long-term big picture stuff, no, they're not YouTubers. They're not Twitter heads. They actually have to act on impulses that are adults, sometimes. So, but WB isn't focused. This is you are right, numbers, and this is a problem for me. WB isn't focused on making movies to go to streaming. Their focus is on theatrical release. I think that's the wrong answer. And what do I know? But from a consumer standpoint and from a mathematical standpoint, I think it either needs to be 60-40 versus streaming, or at the very least 50-50. I think you should be putting in hey Phil, let me know if you want a link. I'll send you one. I think you should be putting in just as much resources into your streaming as you do your theatrical. That's just me.
Yeah, makes sense since like you said, almost 100 million people subscribe every month.
And Gunn, even Gunn is a co-producer on this, or producer on this, did the story, and I'm pretty sure he ain't broken up about it too. You have to realize though, the stuff that they're jettisoning is stuff that they inherited. They didn't inherit Gunn. He hired Gunn. Gunn is his guy. He went for Gunn's pitch and everything else.
Gunn can't really argue with him because that's his boss anyway. Even though he might be sad about it, but he can't really do any stuff about it.
I don't think he's going to care about this as much. I think he may be disappointed, but this is a crumb in the macro.
Right. If he can get the whole DCU off the way he wants. Yeah.
Yeah. And if anything, James Gunn is going to have a better understanding because he is now a studio exec. He now has to make these type of decisions that are being made. It's either tough decisions that have to be made. And like I said, if you're an executive producer or you are now a studio head working under the CEO, you will understand way more than anybody else about these decisions that have to be made. He knew what the previous regime was. He worked with that previous regime.
So. Well, even he said there were some misfires at DC.
There's a lot. Some.
That's obvious though.
Some.
But this is news to him. This isn't news to him. This is news to us. So obviously he didn't overreact about it in the past. So
I'm sure.
He's fine.
I am sure Gunn knows why his Suicide Squad movie bombed, 100%.
Oh, everyone does.
Because it was placed out of nowhere and it didn't have any legs to come off of.
I mean, you have
and they promote that movie. They promote that movie a lot, but
I know I was part of the promotion,
and that still wasn't enough for people to go to defeat him.
I'm gonna go and put this. I can't find you on my. I know we're connected on Twitter, but here you go, Phil. I'm not letting everybody in. I'm just gonna let Phil in because he's the only non-Patreon one. But there you go. So if anybody else tries to get in with the short amount of time, you're just gonna be backstage. Okay. It's just like every time I will be the first to admit that this current regime has tripped over their own dicks in many cases. I would still take them. I think they have better intentions than the last ones did.
Same here.
I would
at least Zaslav and Toby Emmerich.
Yeah. The biggest problem that I'm gonna have with these guys is, like I said, there's just not a I don't think that Zaslav had roots into DC culture. I think James Gunn does. But it's to the fact that, the way they got this started, it's really hard for me to really have 100% faith in everything that they're doing. It's just
they handled the Henry Cavill situation terribly. by just announcing him and then just giving pretty much like the middle finger to the fans and to say, "Oh, guess what? He's not back." So,
I only heard principal photography was complete, which means that all the writing is done, all the human acting is done. Now if it's like Roger Rabbit, the principal photography for Roger Rabbit was done.
Well, Roger Rabbit would be done. They would probably do that all in computers animation.
Well, yeah, but you still have to do principal photography is the shooting of the humans for the most part. I never got the
graph, the animation.
Yeah. But even okay, let's say it was done. Listen, I said this last night. People who watch animation and watch the Batman Beyonds and watch the Batman animated series and watch that, they think, and same thing with the CW, people who watch these things think that the entire solar system is right behind them watching this stuff. When the numbers bear out that that's just not the case. You know, if Batman Beyond was viable, trust me, in the 30 years,
man, you're stabbing me right now, William. This is our ultimate dispute. I'm not disputing the numbers. I'm just disputing the quality of the product, which is
that's
excellent.
Fine. But the quality of the product can be great. That's not the question. Can I sell the product?
Yeah,
right. But people weren't watching Transformers in the '80s, and then they made billion-dollar Transformers movies, right?
That's not what. There's
a seed. There's a seed that gets planted, and then you know things grow.
Speaking of,
hold on. That is not the basis of the success of Transformers. The basis of success of Transformers was the toy.
Right.
Those are the things that were synonymous. It was the toy. The cartoon was made for the toy. The toy was the priority. The toy sold millions on top of millions. You didn't get a Transformers movie based on that. You got a Transformers movie based on the entire franchise of that, the hardline franchise. Whereas you don't have that with Batman and Beyond. You know, a couple of viewers.
I don't disagree with that at all. I totally agree with what you're saying. But at the same time, you could say that Batman Beyond is a gateway for somebody who's a child or in high school or whatever the age group was at the time to get them into greater Batman. You could say that for the.
Can I
you could
sell
say
that
for. It does sell. It does sell. It might not sell to the extent.
You're asking somebody to spend a lot of money based on those numbers, and it just doesn't add up. It never has, or it would have been done already. How many times we've had all kinds?
I'll give you a more apt comparison. Okay, I'm sorry I used the Transformers. You take Spider-Man. The Spider-Man show came out around roughly the same time as the Batman show came out. There's an episode at the end of the series about the Secret Wars. That is exactly why Disney's trading on the name of Secret Wars. Nobody has ever read, except for me, you, and people who read comics. None of these people in the chat, none of these people in the things know anything about the Secret Wars in '84. You even have people on your stream, like, and I'm not, I think it was RJ said that he's familiar with the Secret Wars 2015. So take it into account. RJ's a certain age. He got his gateway into comics. He started reading the comics. He sees the Secret War that's out right now. It's a big tied-in story to everything else. Whereas just like Transformers, the old Secret Wars and the old Crisis on Infinite Earths were toy commercials.
But even still, the inspiration of their stories doesn't have to be recent or from any particular thing. That Secret War story wasn't relevant to what they're doing now anymore.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm making the point, just like Disney, because as you've pointed out in the past too, they trade on the name of a storyline, even if it's not even relevant to the story. Civil War being the best example. They're trading on the name
doesn't have any relevance to what they're doing now.
They're trading on the name of Secret Wars, in my opinion, because little kids who grew up to be our age or people younger than us or older than us sat there and watched the free show all the time, and that was their point of reference. They didn't they did not end up reading comics. So when Spider-Man came out in 2002, that's what they were all about. And
that's not open up their wallets based on that.
I'm not saying listen, I'm saying that an 8-year-old is not opening his wallet for anything, but that 8-year-old one day turned into a 25, 30-year-old, and that's what made Spider-Man movies sell the hell out over everything else consistently, because they have fond memories. You have fond memories of stuff in your childhood that ended up coming to pass, and you're very impressed with it.
That's great for that little kid. But that's
the seed. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, listen, I'm not arguing that we need to have everything be the same as when we were kids, or Zaslav is wrong, or any of that. All I'm saying is those seeds were planted by these same companies so long ago, and now the seeds are coming to fruition. whether
Most
it's
of those
coming
people
through.
who planted those seeds aren't even near those companies right now. The people who are running these companies right now don't care
Right.
about that.
Avi
You know why?
Arad,
Because guess
Avi
what?
Arad still is very, very tied into all things Spider-Man.
Can you
right?
please not mention that name right
How
now?
many
I'm
so
sorry,
pissed he's
filtered.
fucking-
I'm sorry, unfiltered. But the point is,
I'm just butthurt that he's attached to Legend of Zelda. I just don't really want to hear that
okay.
name right now.
I'm sorry, but that
yeah,
he
but
who will not
I
be
was gonna-
named in that situation was
Yeah, but
very
you do-
involved
oh,
with Saban and Fox and all those companies
Spider-Man
back in
was
the
an
day.
icon.
And
Spider-Man was.
no,
an
I'm not
icon
saying he wasn't.
before Avi
William,
Arad
that's
was
not
even
what I'm saying.
born.
Because I'm aware, but Batman is an icon too, and Superman is an icon, and all those examples are true. What I'm saying is
Here's
the
the
seed
thing.
that was planted 25 years ago is relevant now. That's all I'm saying. 25
Not
years
to
ago.
anybody, not to anybody important, not to a decision maker. No, not to
That's
somebody
exactly
who's
why
gonna
the
say,
decision makers put
yes.
the seed there. We use the constant, the person who shall not be named, that he planted
That's
those
a bad
seeds
example.
back in the 90s,
That's
and
a
then they're
horrible
paying off for
example.
him in way big over.
No, nothing's
these
paying off
days.
in the 90s because you're talking about a generation of all the three median generations that are still out there spending money. You're talking about a generation, if we're talking about that same one, who spends the less, who has the most to spend of all the existing living generations. That generation. So nobody who takes money for a living is going to aim anything towards them, unfortunately. And we've already gone through length of why they're up against a whole bunch of stuff that's not their fault, but they are not the money generation that a corporation is going to do that for. Now, does any little kids that are around when Avengers #1 through #5 came out? But yet they use that as an inspiration. These companies today don't care about that type of sentimental value. They care about, does this work for our story structure? You will use it and then we'll throw it back. Because the founding of the Avengers happened in the 60s. I wasn't around. Most people who were watching it weren't around, but yet they effectively used that to tell the story of the Avengers, literally in order of the way they appeared. So
I concede. I'll concede to your point. I'll concede to your point. You're right. I didn't say you weren't right, but I'll concede to your point.
I understand there's a sentimental value, and that's why I said everybody who watches the CW thinks there's actually a lot of people watching the CW. When the numbers are out, there's nobody watching the CW. Everybody who watches these cartoons in the 90s thinks that everybody was watching them. But in the last 25, 30 years, every damn exec that's come up, the first thing that they do is try to push themselves away from all that as possible. This current Warner Brothers management doesn't want anything to do with any of that. And guess what? That's a decision. When it came to Warner Brothers and animation, I said this last night, they should have parted ways and licensed that crap out 25 years ago.
I don't know if I agree with that.
That's the last time. You got to do their math. Everybody who's not paying for shit can say otherwise, but they're the ones that they're paying for.
DC has given us some of the best animation movies of all time.
Money.
But
I'm not talking about
sometimes we're not going to get the quality if we chase the dollar. So there's got to be a balance, right?
Yes.
I'm not. You're listen. This you feeling warm and fuzzy inside kneels to this. All right, your childhood memories, right? This right here, you see this, does not give a fuck about your childhood memories.
No, I get you.
It's not anybody personally. But guess what? John Wesley Shipp as a Flash, all right, yielded to this. All right, Batman Beyond with 18 followers or whoever will go into the movie yields to this. So it made you guys feel great as kids. Congratulations, you had a great childhood. But guess what? This keeps the lights on. This keeps the building open. This keeps people paid. Your warm and fuzzy feelings when you were sitting in front with your Cheerios and your little underoos and everything, that doesn't pay for shit these days. And you have to do the numbers first. Everybody go, well, we should do it beyond. No, you can't. Somebody's got to pay for it.
That's almost like saying they need to do a Spider-Man 2099 movie simply because of the fact Batman Beyond exists, and that at all wouldn't work, especially in live action. That's why they did a version of Miguel in Across the Spider-Verse, because they have to test the waters with the character. And if you're going to do Batman Beyond at best, if you're going to at least try and test the waters with it in a movie sense, you have to, at this point, it would have to be animated. And even then, the only looking point you have at this point is Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, which at the time was very successful for a number of different reasons. But as it stands right now, Batman Beyond is probably so far off in the fucking distance, nobody's even thinking about it. James Gunn is probably looking at that like, no, I'm not even going to touch that right now.
I just want to clear up. I don't want a Batman Beyond movie. It's just when William gets stabbing me, he stabs me right in the heart every time he starts talking about Terry McGinnis.
No, because people think I hate animation. I don't hate animation.
Well, you kind of do.
No, I
That's
hate
a
90s
mis-
animation.
I'm not
very
gonna put
large
all that
distinction.
on
That's
him.
like
I'm just
that's almost like
you
saying
know.
William hates Crisis on Infinite Earths because of the fact that it just fucking exists. That's not the case at all. He doesn't
No, it's
hate the
not.
book.
He-
He hates the concept. There's a difference.
Because the reverberating effects. Now we're going to take.
Oh,
both of
you got Anthony backstage there. Is he Patreon, or was I mistaken about that?
I don't think he is. I put the
Yeah,
link in
no,
there.
you had the StreamYards link in the chat.
Yeah, I only meant to let on Phil, but I'm going to get you on later on though.
Okay.
But you got something quick you want to say real quick? 'Cause
Yeah,
I just-
no, I want to clear up numbers. When it comes to this report, it's not the movie was completed. There's a difference between principal photography and the
Okay.
actual movie being done.
Yeah, and there's still a lot more money, and they decided they didn't want to do it. And in this regime of Warner Brothers, listen, if you're a cartoon, dude, you're on the chopping block because they're looking with cleavers. And to be honest and to be fair, and I don't agree with every decision that this administration has made, but you when you're a company that's carrying that kind of debt and they're trying to consolidate as much as they can, and you got things like that don't draw. And like I said, everybody's like all up in arms because I can't believe they're doing this. I love Bugs Bunny. I love so do I. I love the cartoons, and they say, you know what, great, and they're always going to be there in your memory. But when you're talking about billions of dollars in debt, trying to fast track and get things that work for you, Warner Brothers should have gotten rid of this division a long time ago, or licensed it out so that they aren't the liable party.
And
Yeah.
also, Willem, don't forget that they're. I put in the chat. These are the business and stock people. They're saying that Zaslav and Warner Brothers are planning to buy Paramount. Also,
Yeah, I'll see how that comes along.
I
but
doubt that.
That's like a rumor. That's a possibility that came up. But I'm gonna wait and see when it comes to these mergers and stuff. I'm gonna wait and see. But yeah, when it everybody, like I said, everybody wants to tout the DCAU, and I'm not knocking the quality of the DCAU. I'm knocking the business of it. Is it worth it? You know, and that's where the fanboy logic rolls.
I
up
don't
against
want
that
the
window.
DC. Just I don't want it back. It's already been made, and I'm happy with it. I just say, you know, I'm more like it's just, you know, how you come at it. I just want to respond because I feel I should stand on it. That's all.
Well, no,
and
there's no good way to tell that to anybody who loves this stuff. There's no good way to tell somebody that you loved it, but it doesn't work in the real world. It does in real world economics. These things that made our childhood great don't necessarily work. And no matter the quality could be exquisite. In the case of the
even
90s,
with
stuff,
like
it
Back
wasn't.
on Action, they tried rebooting Looney Tunes with Back on Action with Brendan Fraser, and that movie failed tremendously at the box
was
office.
always
You said that reboot word.
Well, no, it's just you gotta read the room.
remember Roger Rabbit? How horrendous that movie was.
Which
That
one?
was like 32 years ago. Like I said, we got to read the room to see what makes you money and what resonates, and also what demographics. Unfortunately, the demographic who likes a lot of this stuff that came out in the 90s, you guys got screwed, man. You guys got screwed from so many different sides that your generation, as far as disposable income, is hurt. It's hurt. You guys, I mean, our other generations screwed you. World economics screwed you. Certain situations screwed you. You do not have the disposable income that the Generation Xers and the boomers did. Unfortunately, you kind of got hammered, and that's not their fault. But that is the math. So when you see these big companies that are like, "Who's my median demographic?" Some of these generations are getting left.
That's why you get Yellowstone and Indiana Jones and the Walker of Destiny.
Yeah, and you guys
movie.
brought up Spider-Man 2099. Honestly, if how they explain what they're gonna do with the Marvel Spotlight banner, that it's gonna be stuff outside the continuity of the MCU, that I think that's the only way you get Spider-Man 2099 through Marvel Spotlight.
I don't think there should be. I don't think for a while now, because right now the only reason why you have Miles Morales as a viable something in maybe 5 to 6 years that could be live action is because the groundwork that they've done, not only in the comic book but in other forms, But so they've cultivated that. They haven't done that with Spider-Man. You could not do a Spider-Man 2099 without further cultivation, and like they're doing now with Across the Spider-Verse, but other things, him being in games, him being like that, because that's how you build. That's how you build something that's not the traditional. Because if you put Spider-Man out there and it's not Peter Parker without the cultivation that they've done with Miles Morales, it's going to fail. If you put a Batman out there that's not Bruce Wayne without cultivating him in that same manner, it's
Terry
going to fail.
McGinnis.
Yeah, nobody. Listen, the average, not the geek, not the guy who's on the screen, the guy. I could walk out anywhere on this street and ask anybody in any language. I don't care who's Batman. Oh, it's Bruce Wayne. More people are going to know who Batman's butler is that are going to know who the other half of comic books are. So that's the person that's coming to your movie.
You're hurting spot. You're hurting Spider's feet.
Well, I'm good. I'm just.
If you're gonna
he's
make
not
money,
wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling him he's wrong.
Now, it can happen, but you have to do with Spider-Man 2099 what they did with Miles Morales, what they will eventually do with 2099. But if you just put him out there, a Batman that's not Bruce Wayne, just out there like that, that's
William, you said that Marvel has the credibility to do something like that. Don't you think they can get away with doing a live action Spider-Man 2099?
Not now with their focal point.
Maybe as a animated TV show on Amazon, I could possibly see that.
Amazon? You mean Disney Plus?
It's not whether they have the credibility to do it. It's timing. Right now, your focal point is on Tom Holland. There's 2 Spider-Men out there. One that Sony runs, that's your Miles Morales and the animated, and then you have Tom Holland. So there's no really narrative room for 2099. There's no narrative reason for 2099. So
can you use Tom Holland to build 20? Like
why? Why? I have Tom Holland.
No, I'm not saying no. What I'm asking is, can you use his Spider-Man movie series built up to Spider-Man 2099?
I hope not, because no,
that sounds weird. No, that does. I don't think that would work.
You're talking about the abstract versus what is here. 2099 is an abstract experiment for some time down the line once you've tested the waters and you've cultivated the character. Right now, there's no reason to establish him to what's already an established, successful Tom Holland Spider-Man. Tom Holland Spider-Man doesn't need it, and it's not going to do that character any good. There's a time and a place to do these things, and that's the most important as the money, is knowing when to cultivate and when to use these IPs. And like I said, it goes back to Batman Beyond. I'm not saying that there's never going to be a time to do it, but just based on the history of Batman Beyond, there's absolutely. If you come into my office right now, just based on you watched it in the 90s or the late 90s, early 2000s, and here's my idea about Batman Batman Beyond, I'm gonna be like, there's just not enough there. There may be someday, but it ain't there now. They have to build it up, and it's not just the childhood memories. Like I said, childhood memories don't mean shit. All right, this is what they're going to go for. So when you're going to
cash is king,
yeah, you can say we're going to do this, but we got to build it up in relevancy now within our world now, not based on us and our underoos and our stuffed McGinnis, doll like that. That can't be the decision making. I'm not saying it can't happen or that it shouldn't happen, but if you're going to do it, you got to do it on real world stuff, not our kiddie memories. All right. There's nothing from my childhood memory that I would walk into some CEO's office and say, you know what? Saturday mornings, I felt real good about this and not expect to get thrown out and have them change the codes on the door. But if I come in here and be like, hey, now in this 2024, 2025 landscape, let's apply this to here and let's spend some time and see if this works, and go, you come in with a reasonable argument, but just 2099 existing or Batman Beyond existing and people having great memories about them, that ain't going to pay for nothing. That ain't going to give you a hot dog on the street, man. That's all I'm saying.
I don't want a new movie of Batman Beyond. I'm happy with what I already have. That's the crux of my point but it's not important. I'm not against what you're saying. I don't desire to have something that was already made in anything. I mean, adaptations are fine or whatever, but I don't want to see something old get rehashed. I would like to see, they got a whole new studio coming in. I would like to see new content. I would like to see new adventures. I'd like to see if they could top what they've done in the past, because sometimes they always, or not always, but sometimes they top what they've done in the past. So that's new.
Is there for the Batman Beyond storyline? Can you use that as a jumping off point for like a like using those concepts in like a Batman Brave and the Bold, or like
I gotta take off. I got some personal business
All
I
right.
gotta hand to. I'm so again. I appreciate the invite, but I'm sorry. Something literally just came up, and I have to. Go
No
take
problem,
care
man.
of it.
Hope
Yeah,
nice to
see
meet
you
you. All right,
later.
dude.
Thank you. Take care.
The question you have to ask before you even ask any of that, it would be why. Why? That's the thing. Why? Does it make sense? Why are we doing any character you want to put out there, no matter what it is? Why are we doing that? Does it fit with what we're doing? Can it be the focal point of something better? That's what you got to ask yourself on all these things.
I'm not sure if you're understanding my question clearly, William. What I'm asking is, I'm not saying using the Terry McGinnis character. I'm saying using the concepts from that storyline in some of the Batman characters that you're building up right now.
Once again, why? That's the thing. There's no reason to. I don't think you should. They can do anything, but should you? Why would you disjoint your current concepts? That's an abstract concept. That is an abstract concept. Batman and Beyond, any of it, and I know the whole thing wasn't about Batman Beyond. It's about animation in general and about the marketability of that era in general. You have to look at what you have established now and ask yourself, why would you even add any of this stuff? You have the numbers in front of you.
See, and that's a good thing about what currently Warner Brothers and Disney is going to do. Disney's planning. Bob Iger says he's planning to license out some of the animated content for Marvel to like an Apple or a Netflix or something like that, so they can he can make money off of it without him having to use his production.
But will it be adult animation?
Yeah, more mature stuff.
Okay, that's great to hear.
Yeah, and that's something that I think that Warner Brothers should have done with all of their animation back in 2000. To be honest with you,
they have a lot of rated R stuff that looks like it's PG-13, William. There are a lot of their stuff, but it's not really gritty, I would say.
But if you're aimed where you're going to pull your resources,
Injustice. Yeah, guys, ever see that movie? The Injustice movie they did. Yeah, that was.
I think that movie's terrible.
See, you always bring up Kingdom Come, William. Is that an abstract thought, like you say with Batman Beyond as an abstract thought?
No, I think William does that for what I perceive when William says something like that as an audience member is William sees an opening where Kingdom Come can fit well. All that stuff is there. He's talking about characters that have already been established. He's creating a scenario where you can use Kingdom Come as the imprint and kind of build around that. Because if you notice what William talks about, he doesn't mention Shazam being Captain Marvel being the bad guy. He talks about Black Adam having that role. He uses Mr. Mind because he got set up in the Shazam movies and they didn't really go anywhere with it. You see, he's going to take advantage of the elder statesman actors like Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill, and then there's a lot of stuff already there where you can take it there and then it creates a conclusion or what William would call it a resolution.
Well, DC has always had that kind of problem where they've kind of set up stuff that doesn't really happen. I mean, look at Green Lantern. They set up Sinestro in that last scene, and then the movie bombs, and it doesn't go anywhere.
The difference between what you're asking me, Anthony, is one of them is an abstract thing where there is no groundwork, and where Kingdom Come, the groundwork is there because the characters are already there. The characters are already there. They've already been in use. So you're talking about you just making older versions of the characters and what I call a logical conclusion versus an abstract theory.
And this is what I want to see happen. Like I'm a fan of both. I want both to succeed. I'm not one of these people that hates the other. To be honest, I want DC to succeed because, to be honest, it's a good thing to have both companies succeed and not one failing. And to be honest, when they're done with Paradise Lost, the TV show, I'm predicting this. They're not gonna use Diana as Wonder Woman. They're gonna use her mother for this DC universe because they're selling. It seems like in that show they're gonna use Hippolyta set up how do you pronounce her mother's name? Hippolyta.
Hippolyta.
As the Wonder Woman for this DCEU. Not Diana.
All right, so numbers. Yes, DCU has a huge fan base, but now we're applying that fan base to live action fan base, and that's like literally the difference between Dr. Pepper and Chardonnay, as far as quality goes.
Can I ask you? Can I introduce a question to this logic of yours? Right here where it says DCAU sells. Let's use that as the springboard, right? Or 90s Marvel, right? I'm not going to argue that point again, but I'm going to say, okay, of those age groups, right? Our $1 billion movies are reliant on people going to see multiple times, correct? So if that's the case, who is the likely target age group who's going to go see that movie multiple times, thereby being the person that comes with all the money?
Generation
X? No, it's not. You know, it's not. Generation X was not.
Yeah, because you have to have the money to see something multiple times.
Okay, I'm smack dab in the middle of being a millennial. I'm born
in
1985. I'm 38 years old. I'm smack dab in the middle of millennial.
You're barely hanging. You're
man, are you serious? The millennials
you're hanging on,
millennials 80 to 2000, right? Okay.
Yeah, but you're a millennial.
I'm an elder millennial, but the point stands. My big bro is your age, right?
Yeah, so you go.
Okay, he doesn't go watch shit multiple times. His kids, who are Gen Z, when I was coming up and watching all these movies when they were coming out in the last 15 years, that was me and my people, my age group, that were going multiple times. You might have because you own a comic book shop, but you know damn well nobody else in your age group was going to see Thor twice and Iron Man 3 times.
But here's the thing, though. I understand. I concede that 100%. Here's the thing. I can't use the data based on the DCAU or that type of information.
And that's not my point. I'm not going off of that. I'm just going back to my original point. That's what I'm saying. I want to argue what your numbers argument is airtight. That's I don't want to convey that I'm.
Well, how do we justify making this stuff?
I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is those seeds were planted for us, and we're the people that went to go see multiple times. The seeds that are planted for the kids now, whatever they're watching right now, 25 years later, when they got money in their pocket, whether it's a little money or a lot of money, they're going to be the group. I'm not going to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix more than once if I watch it. But somebody who grew up watching that, they're going to watch that probably 2, 3, 4 times. And if
I know this is off topic,
the same thing.
But this applies to animation real quick. This applies to what Spidey's talking about. Remember when they announced the re-release of Animaniacs, how people said that was going to work for this generation because of the show originally came out.
William's going to explode. Look at him.
No, this is not. You can't apply that though. And here, and Spidey, I understand what you're saying, but yes, it does. The argument is not, or the case actually goes back to the numbers. The seeds being planted, they're still never. They're going to go back to: is this viable? Was this ever viable? Did the seed grow into something that we can directly chase back to cash? That's what's going to determine whether it is, and like I said, how we all feel about these things. They can't necessarily measure that. They're going to look at what kind of hold did these things have when they came out. Has there been any real interest in it? And like I said, would you make a movie based off of a CW show? No, you would get fired. And that's
you'll get laughed out the building.
Those seeds are being planted for somebody in the future generation, but
that's
you're not
like someone greenlighting mustard trucks.
Yeah, but you can't make a tangible decision based on those seeds, though, is what I'm saying.
Why did you have to bring that? They actually greenlighted that movie, and it still happened. It actually happened.
You know, I mean, like I said,
I was going to say
Miles Morales is the situation that you would have to have in order for a lot of things their seeds to actually be relevant, because you have a record, you have a track record of success and cultivation. So it's not just something coming out in the mid 90s and having whatever local success is out there. This is something that over the past 12, 13 years, we can track the interest. There's so many ways to track whether Miles Morales will be successful. We have video games, we have cartoons, we have toys, we have the comics, and we have the movies. So right there, we have a perfect storm of analytics that I don't have with a lot of this stuff that was planted back then. There's no way to say I'm going to spend 50, 70, 80 million on this. And I think when they do it without those analytics, that's where you have things that end up having the plug pulled from them, like Wile E. Coyote.
William, I have a question for you. When you look at Across the Spider-Verse, what would you say that was targeting older millennials like me, your generation, and older millennials like me and Spidey, or was that more the younger millennials?
All the above. Because here's the thing, and this is why I love the example that Miles Morales gives you, because not only are we talking about an age group now, we're also talking about ethnicity, and that's important. Because a Generation Xer, so say if I had kids, we're talking about kids that are maybe, mid-teens or whatever, and then a millennial, a millennial that has kids. This is if we're all of color, if we're Puerto Rican or black or both, we have a representational lens now that we have in common with three different, whoever's smoking, whatever, with that hissing sound's killing me. We now have a trend line that goes from me to that next generation and to even that generation after. If we're all people of color looking for that representation, we don't have much. We can count on representation and headlining stuff like on five fingers. So that is going to polarize those numbers right then, in addition to the fact that that character's demographics does bleed over to the common teenager, the common young adult. So you have a double demographic, and that's what I mean. You have things like that going for it that you don't have in any of these other things that is compared to.
Would you say Namor applies to this conversation?
No.
Or no?
Not in that manner, no. Maybe in his own way, but like I said, it's the same thing with Black Panther. I've been doing movie premieres and doing like this since like 2011 or so, right? So and when you go to the audience, the amount of people in the audience that look like me, not very many. We're significant, but not. Black Panther came out. 47% of the audience that we surveyed was black. We had people wearing African gear. We had people, because we don't have a lot when it comes to that. So even though we're only 13% of the population, when you concentrate that 13% into the actual dollars of people that will actually get up and go to the movies, that's a pretty high number. And Miles Morales has that advantage going for him. Namor has the MCU going for him. That's what he has. But as far as an individual character drawing people from the not normal circumstances,
and you brought Black Panther up. My friend took his 115-year-old great grandmother to the movie, and when she saw Black Panther, she started crying. Like, that's a reaction that I've never heard from a movie. Like,
okay,
that's amazing.
All right, Samir. I'm not disputing that the DCAU can make good movies.
What are you talking about?
We have so many examples of good movies that don't do well. Listen, remember I told you guys months ago, making a good movie, everybody says, well, just make a good movie, everything will be okay. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You know why? Because there's a whole bunch of really, really good movies that have bombed real recently. We can all name a bunch of them. So
I mean, look at. Well, I was going to say.
Eternals.
I'm not disputing.
Well, I was going to say. I mean, look at like
can make good movies. That's never been my point. As far, especially in modern day stuff, they make some really good stuff. My point is now you're talking about, is it worth continuing with Warner Brothers, who seems to be cutting everything that's not a human motion picture off their thing, or doing something that's based on that. Whether it's quality or not, I'm okay. I will give you great quality. Can I sell it? Will it make us money?
Well, I was going to tell you. I mean, look at like the Shawshank Redemption. That was a big bomb at the day, and at the time, that was a huge bomb, and then it did extremely well on home media.
Yeah, but we're not talking about 30 years ago in a company like Warner Brothers that's how many billions in debt? They need stuff that they can sell now, not stuff that they have to have a certain volume. Yeah, they're going to have their great stuff like their Academy Award winning nominated stuff. But as far as like volume goes, and Shawshank Redemption didn't bomb, by the way. It actually was a hit. But
it was a hit on home media. It was not.
No, it was a hit in the theaters. It was a hit in the theaters. But not
the box office was horrible. What are you talking about, William?
Based on its budget, but even still, Samir, that's not a dispute whether DCAU. I'm not even disputing that. What I'm disputing is, does it have the draw to justify further investment? That's the thing. And sometimes, how many things we got on the screen and we've loved and we're not getting any more of. And they were really good things.
I love the Hellboy reboot with David Harbour, and I'm kind of sad that we're not going to get a sequel to that. So, even though we're not getting,
what do you want to collaborate with Parrot Analytics?
Oh, you hate that movie?
No, it's not as like I don't hate the movie. I felt like David Harbour was the best part of that movie, to be honest.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Hey,
the rest of that movie was horrendous.
No,
David, hold on. There's a link in the chat. David, click on that link and come on. I don't want to misread your question that you're asking me here.
Well, no, it wasn't that, but that movie was a more accurate approach to the Mignola comic books than the Del Toro ones. That's what I appreciate most about it.
Well, the problem is, okay, despite the quality or lack of quality that David Harbour remake made, it didn't do well for external circumstances because people.
Because we had those diehard angry Del Toro fans that were pissed off that it wasn't in part 3, so you kind of had that.
And you were making a reboot within the generation of the same movie.
You
never want to do that. Yeah.
Was there a really big gap? I thought there was a 10-year or 15-year gap from when they made that movie. I thought that the last.
But I'm looking at Ron Perlman still doing stuff, still acting, and that's
but he said he was too old. Yeah, but he said he was too old to play.
The fans see Ron Perlman still looking good, still riding bikes, still cut more than.
But it's not about the fans, William. It's about the dollars. If it don't make dollars, it makes sense. You can't go off a fan emotion. I'm just messing with you.
But here's the thing: Hellboy's success was built off of those fans, though. So
yeah,
it's not like you're not crossing the medium. You're in the same medium.
But look at my avatar, William. Look at my avatar. They rebooted. I know you hate the word, but they reimagined Spider-Man twice in the same generation.
But you also look what they did with them, though. You're talking about.
I'm just using the basis. I know Spider-Man and Hellboy are no comparison. I get it.
Yeah, but I mean,
don't say never. Never say never, right?
I was going to say, like, what Hellboy suffered, that reboot had the same comparison to the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. Because remember when they first rebooted that movie, there was like so much backlash to that movie, and it was too close to
the Ron Perlman, and there was going to be a third one made. They just couldn't.
The problem was, I was going to tell you this. People forget this. Like, look, yes, Del Toro didn't want to make a third Hellboy movie, but the problem was because he wanted a huge budget, and nobody would give him the budget. And plus, at the time,
they look stupid because they should have fucking gave him that money. But hey, you know what? It is what it is.
Hey, I know that sucked for some people, but hey, that's a business. That's just how business works.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I'm not the one counting their money. Hey, I'm going to answer numbers question.
Okay.
But William, you just said about Miles. What you said about Miles, couldn't you apply that to Spider-Man 2029 and Spider-Gwen and Static Shock? No, on the first one, and not yet on those last two, because there's been no cultivation. Just because we know who they are and we understand who they are, they have not been cultivated amongst the general audience to take that kind of chance. Spider-Gwen is great. I got plenty of stuff here. Every time she's on the cover, within our little sphere of influence, I love the concept.
Yeah, Spider-Man's the most popular superhero on planet Earth. So I mean,
look at how it happened, though.
Right.
Look at how it happened. They did it right. So that's why I said something. How does most of the population know who Spider-Gwen is? Because she came up through
in a Spider-Man flick.
General audiences, and then in the movies, they've cultivated her on several media.
And plus, she's played by an amazing actress, Emma Stone. For that also helped.
Yeah, but now you're looking at Spider-Man 2099. If they had done the same things with Spider-Man 2099 since when 1991, I got number one. I got them sitting up here right now. If they had been cultivating that on several different media formats and everything else throughout the time and building up an audience for it, then go for it. Do 2099. But that's not what's been happening. You guys are throwing characters out there that are great. Trust me, I'm on your side when it comes to some of these characters, concepts being great. But if you're going to tell somebody, let's drop 40, 50, 60, 70, $80 million on it, you have to have cultivated that amongst an audience that's going to be spending that money. And our audience, just us talking to each other, is not enough. That's not enough. We need more.
I want to bring up the cultivation concept for the character that I've been talking about the past few months in Namor. Could we do that with a video game and a TV show before we do the movie, or no?
Video game would probably be the most.
I don't see a Namor movie. I don't think there's a need.
Well, they're making they're making a Captain America Black Panther video game, so Namor fits in both of their stories
Yeah.
very well. He
Yeah,
could be
Invaders. I
he
mean,
could- yeah,
you know,
Invaders
you gotta-
and just the fact that he's a king
And
in
also-
Wakanda and Doomsday.
yeah, King of Wakanda.
I don't mean to
Yeah.
go off topic, but didn't he also like didn't Del Toro also have like a falling out with Mike Mignola? That's what kind of also the reason why the first one got canceled, because they had like a falling out, doing like they had disagreements on what the story should have been. And that's why,
can't remember.
and that's
I do
why like
vaguely
Del
remember
Toro
that.
just told him to just go ahead with his reboot.
I think it was mainly because of money and the fact that once it got around to doing it, Ron Perlman was probably then. Yeah, he is too old.
See?
But at the time, they would have done it if they would have done it at the time. Because and another reason why people didn't like the new Hellboy movie is the same reason why a lot of people don't like a lot of DC stuff these days. It's a replacement. You're settling for some other story because you didn't get the one that you wanted or that they were going to do, and that hurts. That hurts your momentum, right or
Yeah,
wrong.
I get
hurts
that.
your
I mean, it's kind of
momentum,
like with Ghostbusters, but again, that's just
And
how
I don't
business
think
is.
Constantine 2 happening. I think people are just too excited because the director and Keanu said they want to do it. But I don't think another sequel to the Constantine movie fits in to Jane unless they're doing it in the Elseworld with the Batman and stuff like that. But to me, that Constantine doesn't make any logical sense in the
Just-
type of stories that
Oh, I see what you're
James
saying.
Gunn wants to do in his DCU.
Yeah,
to
but
be
it
honest.
can be Elseworld.
Yeah.
It can
No,
easily
no,
be
that's what I'm
Elseworld.
saying. It only
Maybe
works
it's
in
one set
Elseworld.
aside.
Yeah,
but
it can be
fans are-
Elseworld. That
No,
shouldn't be a
but what I'm
problem.
saying,
I think-
Chappie, what I'm saying is, a lot of fans want Constantine in the cinematic universe, not.
But that's
in
not going to
Elseworlds.
happen.
And there's no reason it should. If you're somebody who loves the Keanu Reeves movies, you do not want that version. Now he can have another. He's going to have another version. So you're going
Probably
to
have
Hellblazer.
the Hellblazer version that you see a lot more in media anyway.
Yeah. So,
So-
all right, guys. But that's pretty much. I got your question now, David Riley. But yeah, I know who they are. It's like for us collaborating with them, go sure. Anybody that can give me better numbers than because the numbers I
do
go off
wanna-
of are based on.
I was going to ask you, like, what was it like promoting the female Ghostbusters movie, and why do you think it kind of underperformed? I kind of want to get your thoughts on that before we end it.
I don't think people were ever going to connect to that drastic of a change to what the status quo.
Because the movie's actually pretty decent. It's not great, but it's actually a decent movie.
Yeah.
But
It was dead on arrival though.
Yeah.
The concept killed that movie more than anything. Before you even got to anything, what you thought
And
about
the
that movie
ignorant,
itself,
these
the
ignorant,
concept killed the movie.
these ignorant, what is it called? Ignorant a-holes that were saying that this movie, like, before the movie even came out, people went on Twitter saying this movie was going to bomb because it was female led. Remember that, William? Remember that ignorant ass
I
conversation?
saw it. It wasn't the greatest movie in the world, but before it was even released, it was no point in. It didn't matter.
yeah,
whether
that's
it
kind of
was
the
released.
sad
No,
part.
no,
about it.
but
It
you
was- it was kind
understand
of
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
you got
that
the knuckle
ignorant-
draggers. I don't think that they were even the biggest part. I think the biggest part is people when you take a franchise like that, that's a drastic change of what the people know the franchise is. That's why the new one does better because it's nostalgia.
Yeah, well, the new ones are more connected to
Exactly.
the
It's
original.
connected directly to them. So that's I think that was the biggest thing that Ghostbusters had.
When it comes to fandom in general, why do you think these troglodytes are the loud? These troglodyte minority are the loudest when it comes to when they see representation in movies and stuff like that. Why
because
is that?
most people, and this is all of us, most people in general, when they enjoy something, they watch it, they go home. Or they'll say something good about it, but they're not. If you like something, you don't need to. Most
Dwell
people
on
don't feel the need to have to go to war over something. Like they went.
Well,
they
that's
fought,
kind of
they
like-
supported it. That's it.
Sometimes
Remember
again,
when Namor came out? They were these troglodytes were saying that the first Namor we should see is the Namor McKenzie, not this Tenoch Huerta when they
They're
announced
the
him.
minority though, but that's not. See, that movie didn't come up. That movie made a lot of money, by the way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it didn't come up short from the previous one's money because of that. The general audience doesn't identify with those clowns. The reason why that movie fell short because it was Black Panther without the Black Panther in it. That's
Yeah.
why that movie came up short.
Yeah, T'Challa.
I love the movie. I thought the movie was great, but I think if Marvel ever decides to reboot their universe, I think they
They've
should
already
recast.
decided they're doing it.
I
They're
know,
doing
but
it.
I think they should recast with T'Challa. That's a perfect
Oh, yeah.
timing to recast with T'Challa.
Yeah.
I
I'm a
know some
recast
fans.
guy.
Look, hear me out. I know some fans will probably be angry about it with Chadwick Boseman. But hey, gotta move on. You gotta move on at some point.
And you said, William,
had
that this
a
whole
Batman
Oh my God,
tetralogy with 3 different actors in the past.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. I mean,
so Willem, you said this whole Marvel universe is based off the Ultimates universe in the comics.
It's a hybrid. It's an amalgam. They've taken aspects of it, like Nick Fury. Like I showed you guys a picture of that Captain America that's in Ultimate. That's an exact carbon copy of the one.
that's exactly the same. Exactly the
So-
same. Yeah.
Was that
Um,
Superior Iron Man, the one that's based off of Tony? The Tony that we see in the comics, is that Superior Iron Man from the?
No, he's more 616 Iron Man than
He's more
Ultimate.
616, more of but like I said, a lot of
His
the other
first
things-
movie is the first arc, and he's like the second half of the movie 60 issues in. It's
literally,
the first Iron
literally.
Man movie is really good.
right.
William,
I like the
I know,
third one the best. The third
I know
one's the
that
best.
I think we're about to wrap up. I just want to make a point to you. I know it seems like we butt heads on the Batman stuff and the animation stuff a lot. I don't take it personally.
Oh no,
I
no
just,
one should take any. Of
I
this
enjoy
personally.
By
I
the way,
enjoy
I
iron
wanna
keeping
show you
iron sharp.
some stuff.
You're very knowledgeable about things that I'm interested in. So who else can you really engage with like that? At this level. So I
And
appreciate.
you guys have
it.
a right to these opinions. I appreciate the input. You guys have a right. I'm just telling you where I'm trying to.
Right. But I don't want to say
like.
I don't want to come into your stream all adversarial. I appreciate being able to butt the head with you on that a little bit because
even if
I
you
never
butt
got your
knowledge.
opinions on that whole report, William and
We're
Spider,
adversarial.
about
I'll let you in.
Warner Brothers and Zaslav buying Paramount Global. Do you actually
I don't know
believe that
nothing
rumor?
about that.
I don't
no
have
clue.
enough information to make a decision about that. Mathematically, it could happen, but I don't know if it'll ever happen. I want to answer numbers real quick. But general audience didn't know who Miles Morales was before 2018.
I get that too.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to mute you there, Chappie. General audiences did know who Miles Morales was. They knew who Miles Morales was from day one when that Ultimate Fallout #4 came out. And the reason why, because the major headlines was Black Spider-Man. All right. Forget about all the other things about the comic that came out. I remember selling that comic. I remember watching the news, that comic, how that comic connected with people outside of comic book fandom, because legitimately it was they were killing Spider-Man, and the general public didn't get the gist that it was the Ultimate Spider-Man. That's all I said. Spider-Man dies,
Mhm.
and on the heels of that, it was a replacement of a black character. That comic sold outside of people that were just our little 2-3%.
That little picture where he unmasks is like huge.
Yeah. And you figure, so they've cultivated that character, and then you have Beyond the Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, which has become the second best Spider-Man movie overall for me, replaced by Across. That was a massive hit for them, and that won 2 Academy Awards.
Those movies are so good, William.
Yeah.
Both of
Yeah.
them.
I still
And
need to
then
watch
you-
the second one. I still haven't seen it.
Oh wow, it's the best Spider-Man movie out there. And then you look. So what was the release for Across the Spider-Man? So you look at that time span over since 2018.
2018. Yeah.
So 2018, people knew who he was, and you had justification just based on a lot of that alone. Sony didn't just jump into that hoping that Spider-Man would do well. They knew the resonance that Spider was. No, they've done, and even in say numbers if you're right. So say if you're right that no one knew about him before 2018, right? So we're in 2023, going into 2024. That 6 years of cultivation, even though it's gone back further than that, and a lot of people knew, but I'm just going to go within the time frame that you gave me. There's been more cultivation, on high level cultivation, on Miles Morales on that 5 to 6 year period than there ever was for any of the other examples you guys brought up. There hasn't been that kind of cultivation for Batman Beyond. There hasn't been that cultivation for anything else that you guys brought up. And I'm not knocking the quality of the things that you guys brought up, but when you look at what they've done with the character of Miles Morales, had they been doing that with Batman Beyond or anything else that you guys want to bring up, ask yourself, have they done the amount of cultivation with those characters that you're wanting to go the next step as they've done with Miles Morales? And the answer in most cases is going to be no. Even if you restrict it to that, that little 5 year time period, it just hasn't been done that way.
There he
That's why
goes.
this is an example.
There
Yes,
he goes.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, how's it going, Chappie?
William, I don't know. I was gonna show you. I actually have a Hellboy figure. I don't know if you could see it, but right here behind me is Oh, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I
Zoom
have
in a
his.
little bit.
Yeah, I got like his devilish form. Sorry, it's the phone. It's so hard to
But do you
this.
have a Hellboy piggy bank?
No, not that. But I have his Ami Rama form right here.
Don't try to show me up. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, it's a good form. I love it right here. It's definitely one of the best.
Horn, but yeah, and like I said, numbers when it comes to only comic fans, no, because like I said, it's like the Death of Superman effect. There were a whole bunch of people lined up in 1992, 1993 to buy that comic that weren't comic book fans based on the headline. But you're not talking about just a major headline that applies to Spider-Man, a decades-old character. You are now attaching a unrepresentative ethnic group to that, and that polarized that book. That's why Spider-Man books, in my opinion, they do way better than Peter Parker's book. So, but no, don't underestimate the power of Miles Morales. They've done all the right things with him. That's why I want Sony to never give that over to them. As far as
Spider-Man sells out,
I
I'm out in the streets putting in work. I'm out in the streets of New York putting in work every day out here.
Hey, I will say this right now. Some people are going to hate me saying this, but I think Sony has a better chance of making a great Miles Morales movie than Marvel. Sony does not need to give the rights away to Marvel. Sony has already done two. I know they've already given up the two of the greatest Spider-Man movies. So again, they've always given up the best Spider-Man movies. I would say that, even though people are like, "Oh, Sony doesn't know what they're doing," or I'll be a lot.
All right, Samir. William, do you like animation movies, shows from Disney or Universal or Sony? Why do you think they succeed at the box office? So I'll tell you why, especially in Sony's case, for the exact same reason. They do the groundwork that leads up to you caring about the IP that's coming out. Disney has historically, that's what they do. Disney, Pixar, hold on. These are things that come with a certain amount of credibility that you can just automatically buy into. When it comes to Universal, in most cases, it's going to be the same thing. They're doing the groundwork and they're into it. Warner Brothers just isn't into it, man. They just don't. It's just not where they want to put their resources. It's not something that they want to cultivate, but you have, in order to make animation make money, you have to be 100% invested into it and wanting it to work, not just the actual movie itself. You have to cultivate those characters. Sony has done everything right with Miles Morales, and there's a couple other characters that have been done right that way too. But there are a handful of them. And if you don't do that right, you're going to fail. These studios are having to be the ones with particular IPs that do well, That's my best answer to that question. How are you doing, Brad?
I was going to ask you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was going to ask you guys, like, with the Marvel's bombing, like, how do you think this is going to affect Marvel moving forward?
Not at all.
Or do you think they're going to do you think they're going to you think that I was just going to ask, but do you think they're going to end it after Secret Wars?
Well, apparently they're going to anyway.
Yeah, that was always the plan. So I think they're going to reshape it and refine it.
And then they're going to just scrap Kang Dynasty and just go with someone else?
No, I don't think that's going to happen. If they do, that's stupid. I don't think. See, that's reactionary DC stuff. That's the kind of stuff DC does. I don't think.
Well, King has not been that utilized, but then again, I haven't seen Loki 2, so maybe he is, but I don't know.
And if you look at what's coming, you cannot look in any direction without seeing something that's connected to King. You can't do mutants.
Yeah, but they made King an idiot in Ant-Man 3. I just couldn't get over that.
Wait. You say Kang's an idiot, but you completely overlook that Thanos is a moron in these movies?
Yeah, but Thanos was more smarter. King got beat up by ants.
Oh, no, chat. No. Did you just say that?
What?
Did you just say that on my screen that Thanos is smart?
MCU Thanos is a moron, and I'm going to break it down in one sentence.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay?
Go break it down.
Bam, right here, right now, all right? Because they didn't want to do the storyline where he's going to kill half of everybody to impress death, he has a gauntlet that's going to take everything away, but he can also just easily double the resources. Killing half the population off in space and leaving half the resources there, it's not going to take as much time to replace everybody. It probably would take 150 years and everybody's back. Dude's a moron. Dude is an idiot. If he took high school physics and fucking biology, he would know that that's the dumbest fucking plan in the world. Disney might as well just went a little bit more fantastical and said that he was in love with death. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But since they didn't commit to that, we get dumbass Thanos. Tell me I'm wrong, William. Tell me I'm wrong.
No.
yeah,
and
but the
Kang
problem
is
was
historically a genius. Kang.
I didn't say King. I said Thanos. The King is a
the
beast.
problem with King, though, and this is just me, but the problem with King, though, the way how they utilize him, like he's set up well in Loki season 1, and then like he starts out very good in Ant-Man and the Wasp 3. Like he's like very menacing. Like you kind of like buy like again, even like controversy aside, Jonathan Majors is great. He does a great job. And then he just becomes sort of like a joke at the end when he gets pretty much beaten by ants and by MODOK. And like this guy's supposed, I just think again, this guy's supposed to be like the big Thanos level threat, and the fact that he gets beaten up by ants is kind of like.
And you're also seeing that version of Kang.
Right. Wait and see.
Yeah.
Kang is nice. You'll see.
Kang
You'll
you
see.
see in Kang
Kang
Dynasty
is nice.
Yeah, but
Not-
they made King into a joke with all those like Kings like chilling at the stage. It was just so goofy. Like they just made him an idiot.
You have to see him in the context of the
Counsel,
story that's being
yeah.
told. Yeah.
But
I
here,
know, but
if anything, I would say, Chappie, here's where to me where the movie falls apart. It's half an Ant-Man movie and half a movie explaining Kang, and nobody really gets the full pie, right? And
Yeah.
so that's to me the biggest problem with that movie. They try to shoehorn Kang in where maybe Kang if you take the same story, when Kang is reminiscing on the other universes, even just as a silhouette, they should have shown him killing somebody as he talks about it. If you don't have to put that much money into it, and that would have really sold it. That's kind of my problem with that. The Eternals movie, and then earlier in the season in Loki here, there's big consequential things that it doesn't seem like they either didn't have the imagination for, or they didn't want to spend an extra, $1 million to just put it in there.
Celestial in the middle of the damn ocean that
Yeah.
nobody talks about.
You see what I'm saying? The branches,
Right.
the beginning of Loki with the stuff that happens with the timeline. In theory, trillions of people are dying. We're watching TV monitors, and then they lampshade that 2 episodes later by just talking about it, like, oh, it's just TV screen. I mean, that's,
by the way,
that's
Chappie,
a cheap cop out.
You haven't seen. You say you haven't seen season 2 yet?
nope.
Okay, I need you to, before you say that again, I need you to watch, especially the finale. Kang
is nice.
Daniel Richards is not a fool, and
Kang's nice.
I'll
Yeah.
take your word on it. I'll take your word on it.
Samir, do you think James Gunn will do the same for DCAU? He said his universe includes animation. I think he's going to give it a consistent effort. I think that part of the cultivation to make people care about animation is tying it to things that people care about. People care about live action more than they care about animation. But if you tell your story across both mediums, you have now made it worth it to tune into that. So I think that's a good strategy. It's a hard strategy to do because the rate that you make animation at and the rate that you can create live action at is 2 different things. So you're going to have to time things to the point where things line up and they're relevant. So it's an admirable goal. I think he can. I think it's going to be hard for him to do it, though.
Well, I mean, Creatures Commandos is going to be linked to the whole DC universe, so, and that's animation.
Yeah, but how much is the rest of it going to link up? You see what I mean? But it's just, what do you think about that, Brad? That question?
I mean, pretty much pretty much the same thing. Is like if you're integrating it both in a way that gets people invested, then that can you can really reap a lot of fortunes from that. I mean, I think we're both on the same page that the bigger challenge as far as DC is concerned is the fact that these last few years they have through what they have done, the IP, they've cultivated such a sense of apathy and fan resentment and backlash that it's like that's the bigger hurdle for them to climb over, animation or otherwise.
Well, the sad part is the reason why we didn't get a Superman movie for like about 3 years is because of the whole Justice League debacle, that they were so embarrassed to admit to their mistakes, and that's why they didn't want to even touch Superman or even Batman.
Well, which was really dumb when you figure we think Justice League left a bad taste in people's mouths. We just want to move on for these characters, but we'll collect the $1 billion that was made because of BVS, him being on the screen. We'll collect that. We'll collect the money that Wonder Woman made from these movies. You have
plus, why does Toby Emmerich hate Henry Cavill so much that he wanted him to be recast?
Because he hates Zack Snyder and Zack.
I know.
Henry Cavill of Zack Snyder's Superman.
They didn't want. They didn't want to touch. They didn't want to have to feel like they had anything from there what they were going to do owed to him, and they had fucked up things so bad that they made it toxic. So to answer a numbers question here, do you guys give Sony way too much credit? But I do agree that I don't want Disney getting full rights. I give Sony all the credit when it comes to
me
Spider-Man
too.
right now,
Sony's
because
doing the
I
right.
give them two. They're possibly you could possibly be on the verge of winning a second consecutive Oscar for best animated film. If
That's
not
probably going to
more.
happen next year.
Maybe get the three-peat. You maybe get the
Yeah.
three-peat.
you possibly could actually have Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, I know it's a long shot, but it's in the conversation for being nominated for best movie. With 10 movies being nominated and
You mean Best Picture?
you could be nominated for best overall picture. I don't think they get enough credit. They've done everything with Miles Morales right. And to be honest with you, if it wasn't for everybody, including the Sony execs at the time, everybody wanting to jump in on the Marvel train, Amazing Spider-Man didn't do so bad that it was the end of the world. No live-action Spider-Man movie has made less than $700 million.
Well, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was still a big hit. Like, it still made money, but the problem was because since the Sony hack happened, and plus when Andrew Garfield was kind of like bad-mouthing behind the scenes, that kind of was what got the whole
universe fans don't care about that. Fans don't care about that.
I
Amy
was totally
Pascal,
down to see another Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
movie.
me too.
Yeah.
I
Amy
want to see
Pascal,
that trilogy, but sadly, I'm not going to get it.
Yeah, Amy Pascal got caught up in that Marvel presentation. Everybody wanted to be part of that, and she basically made that deal. But there was still, like I said, no live-action Spider-Man movie has made less than $700 million.
I mean, no Spider-Man movie has pretty much flopped. Let's be honest.
No, they didn't.
No,
people.
there's never been
But the weird
a
part
live-action
is, I know,
Spider-Man
but the
plot.
weird part is that like people still want to act like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the worst performing for a Spider-Man movie because
that's
it didn't make $1 billion. Again, same with the
that fanboy
BVS
logic.
because it didn't make $1 billion. So that's would be considered a failure.
I got a.
Go ahead, Spider-Man.
Go ahead, Brett.
Well, this is
Well,
kind of,
just
you guys stick to your. This is kind of
hold
off topic. So just go ahead and continue what you're saying. I don't want to derail you.
Well, like one thing I was going to inject there with the Amazing 2 didn't make $1 billion and BVS didn't make $1 billion, so therefore the studios just radically pivot. I think that is actually one silver lining of the fact of the post-COVID era when we've had when $1 billion movies have been so few and far between. It's like that expectation is now being so much scaled back, and that's going to be so beneficial to everything because now you don't have the scarlet letter of less than $1 billion with these characters equals failure.
Yeah,
No
and that should have never been the thing, but yeah,
It shouldn't have been, but now it really now they can't.
Which is kind of stupid how Sony thought that the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was going to make $1 billion. Like I think when you set your expectations up to making $1 billion, it's kind of a bad movie, a company. Because like not every movie is going to make $1 billion. Okay, not even like the first Marvel movies made $1 billion. The only one that made $1 billion was the Avengers.
Well, and with Sony's in 2014, which is like eons away right now, they were looking at post Avengers machine, and they wanted to be part of that glow, to where they no longer cared about their individual product. They just wanted to get Spider-Man a part of that machine as soon as possible, and that was those individuals that did that. Real quick, from 1 to 5, what faith you have in James Gunn? As far as faith,
4.
I give him a 4 because he's proven himself. We just,
I give him a solid 4. Do I have faith in the circumstances he's walked into? That's a different rating altogether.
That's what I was going to say.
Well, I know that we talked about.
One at a time, guys. One at a time.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is like Rain James Gunn himself. That's probably what I would do, also. But it's like we're talking. There's two different conversations. Like how much faith in James Gunn versus how much faith you have in James Gunn, given the circumstances that he has both walked into and partially created himself. More so the former, but that's when you tack all that together, then it's like, oh, then my faith is significantly scaled back.
Yeah.
Well, you also got to realize that he's also James Gunn's going to be making his Superman movie about next year. They're going to start filming on March. James Gunn does realize that he is going to have to deal with a lot of hate. Okay, we talked about this with Hellboy, the female Ghostbusters, and with any time when you want to do a reboot and you want to step away from the other side, you're always going to have that part of fandom that is going to be pissed off at you. They're going to have the pitchforks ready to whip it to shreds before the movie comes out.
Well,
Hey,
in his case, some of the pitchforks, fairly or unfairly, are going to be rightfully aimed, and that's just
Yeah.
amongst us because of what we've been through.
100%.
But the other problem he has, the pitchforks. If all he had to worry about was fans with pitchforks and hatred for him, that
There would
percentage
be
of fans,
breeze.
he would be okay. The problem is the apathy. It's been so long since we had a relevant Superman on the screen, and it's been so long since we've had a non-disjointed DC product that people have just walked away. And now they've walked away. They've left your house. They've left your front yard. They're in the next neighborhood now, enjoying those people. And now here you come. You have to try twice as hard. You have to do twice and 3 times the work to get those people back in front of you to even give you the time of day. That's the biggest thing he has up against him, is the way this has been mismanaged, because there was no continuity. So when you let people drift off, they drifted off. When you created nothing to connect to anything relevant, people just did naturally what people did. They moved on. They went on other things. So now you have to spend twice the money, twice the effort, twice the goodwill to get the same people back that you had. And that includes the 90% of the casual fans who literally have no stake in the YouTube game, no stake in the Twitter game, but just you didn't give them anything to pay attention to, so they left.
Wait a minute, William. Are you suggesting with all that telling people to move on is a bad thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you tell people to move on, eventually they will. You know.
Hey,
I mean,
I got a
I
question. I got
I
a
don't-
suggestion as a viewer here. For your Saturday shows, William. I don't really want to like whatever, but Brad, you write for a thing called Kung Fu Kingdom, right? Is there a way that you could incorporate that into the Saturday show, since you're co-hosting it all the time?
Those cats were
Like a suggestion of a movie or a movie that you like, or a spotlight or something like that.
Yeah, that is
A little 10-20 minute thing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Minimum
that's an
20
interesting idea. That is maybe yeah. Thank you for that is an interesting idea. That might be
that answer is no. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
Williams
mind it.
game for that. If Williams game for that, yeah, it's like I can like pull up like I did a review on this.
I want demonstrations though. I want live on air demonstrations of you
Okay.
beating the hell out of
Look, even
somebody.
then, like, look, the reason
I
I was gonna, well, I
I'll
was
get the
gonna say,
ratings
like,
up.
Hold on,
I
hold
do-
on, Chabby. Go ahead.
okay,
I do have because the reason why I was late getting on tonight is because I do have a belt test coming up
Good
next
luck.
Friday, so I've been getting ready for that. Yeah, I mean, all told, I've
You
been
do
training about
karate?
21 years. I've done about all told, I've done probably about 7 or 8 or more different disciplines now for about 21 years.
oh, cool.
What's your testing currently?
Right now it's American Tang Soo Do, and I also right now I'm cross training American Tang Soo Do and Krav Maga, but I've also done and those I both started this year back in January because I because of a couple factors, between a combination of like life changes, the pandemic. I hadn't been formally in a school for a while, so I got back into it with that. So that's what I'm in right now is Tang Soo Do and Krav Maga. But prior to that, I started when I was 15. I bounced around.
You trying to hit the 127 like Bruce did? Is that what you're shooting for?
yeah. I mean, that'll take some effort, but I started when I really committed to it. I started in Taekwondo when I was 15. I bounced around a little bit when I was younger, but that was when my form really properly began. And also I did some Krav Maga back then too. And then after I graduated high school, came back stateside from Europe where we were living with my dad was in the military. Then in college, I got started in Japanese Aikido. Then also, not long after that, I got
You're a
started
dangerous little dude, man.
That was a Steven Seagal. That was your Steven Seagal period, huh?
yeah. Then I got into Shaolin Chonfa, which is kind of predicated on five classic animals of kung fu, which tiger, crane, leopard, snake, and dragon.
Yeah.
Then
Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day.
Then after that, I got into Shotokan karate.
Were you and Ken?
Years after that.
Are you basing all your
Yeah.
stuff off of games and movies and shit?
This is, and then also some buddies and I, we used to we from class we would also go train in the cross training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So and then of course I got to where I'm at now. So yeah, that's all
The
told.
hell's going
21
on
So
here?
are you on a special forces thing, or is that something you're not at liberty to talk about?
No, it's just that's just what it's just been a lifestyle of mine for since I was a kid. And yeah, like I said, it's like what I'm doing now is I hadn't been because of between like the pandemic and a few life changes I
Hey,
had in the
I'm
school
gonna.
for a
Hey, I
while,
was gonna
so
say
I
that
try
right
to
now.
get back
Both
into it.
Venom movies rule. I'm sorry. I would watch. I would rather
Let-
watch.
Brad was giving me his kung fu dream. Hold on.
Right.
Let Brad-
Sorry,
well,
I saw
it's-
this comment. I kind of want to say something.
I'll respond to
the-
this, but I want to let Brad finish.
I know.
Well, it was that's the whole kind of rundown there. But say what you guys asked me about, and like once people inquire, it
so
just, it kind of
happy with
just
that.
comes out of me all at once. So.
All right, numbers. You need to thank Bill Lord. I do for the animated Spider-Verse, not the executives, because anytime Sony gets involved, you get Venom 1 and 2 and Morbius. Okay, first they hired Fear Lord, so I gotta think so too.
yeah.
Phil
And
Lord
you-
didn't show up with a shotgun and
Hey,
say,
people
"I'm
like the
taking
crap.
over."
I know,
So-
but hey, people like the crap of him. But you also got to think Avi Awad. Okay, Avi Awad also hired Phil
He
Lord
who
and
shall
Chris
not be named, right? Is that what
I
Phil,
know.
Phil was
Yeah,
talking
Yeah,
that's
I was-
still
he's
happening, so-
I know
I was on
he
the-
is.
I was on the
I know that he is
Foreigners,
Spider-Man's biggest villain, but
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I don't mind Avi Awad. I know. So
I
I know
was-
a lot of people.
I was on the
I don't
Foreigners a
mind
few
him at
nights
all.
ago,
To
and
be honest with you.
Phil on the Foreigners, I was on a few nights ago. He had mentioned that he'd said that Avi Arad, he thinks he is a little bit of a precursor as far as Marvel goes to Jeff Johns for DC, which is like
no.
That's awful.
yeah,
No.
maybe it's
Um,
maybe not as extreme, but I mean there I could
Avi
see
Awad
some
was-
parallels.
I know, but
Avi
okay,
Arad
yeah,
is
maybe
actually
Avi
in the
Awad.
movie business.
Avi.
Jeff Johns isn't.
No, Avi Awad no more. Avi Awad at least knew how to run Marvel Studios. At least he knew how to run Marvel movies. Jeff Johns didn't. Jeff Johns
is a
didn't know
comic book
shit.
guy that
He
was
didn't
out
know
of the league.
any stuff about running a studio. And I know Jeff Johns is don't
All right,
bring up that name.
And as far as Venom 1 and 2, I bet you right now DC would love the success that both of those movies had. The only reason why 2 sucked is because they wanted to basically railroad you into that end credit scene. But you know what? That did good business for them. As far as Morbius goes, once again, you guys want to make fun of Morbius, but for what they spent on Morbius and what the deals that Sony had in place before Morbius was even released, as far as getting money back from streaming and then selling it to other streaming services, they didn't lose money on that. So
Well,
I can't,
apparently,
it wasn't an Academy Award winner, but it wasn't like Shazam.
apparently,
All right.
Cappy thinks this is all hilarious.
Yeah. No. I don't. Sorry, I'm just sorry. It's a Morbius. Sorry. You can keep going. Sorry.
Go ahead, Brad.
No, but I was just gonna say I wouldn't
Okay.
like.
Now,
would-
you
I-
let me say go ahead, Brad, and then you said you were done. I said go ahead, Brad.
No.
Hold on. Time out, Chappie. Brad,
I-
go ahead.
All I was pointing out is that Jabby's just sitting down there just snickering nonstop and all their analysis of this.
I
He's having
didn't
a
think
good
it's
old
funny.
time right now.
Sorry, I didn't think it's
See,
funny.
that's why you
all.
got to sign up for the Patreon so you can be like Chappie and just get a thrill out of hearing the word
Chappie, I
Morbius.
just let it. He didn't even. But anyway, Morbius.
Well,
did
some
make
people
Morbius
thought
good.
Morbius was a flop, though. They were acting like it was.
Well, because once again, everybody thinks that if it doesn't make their imaginary comic book figure in their head, that everything's a flop. But that, I mean, if you look at it, Morbius. Okay, so look at Morbius right now. So let's look at Morbius real quick. And I would say you want to make fun of the quality, but stop laughing, Captain, or mute yourself. Do something.
What's up?
170.
Okay, so on a
like
budget of
170,
75 to 83 million, Morbius pulled in 160 million. Now, people want to say that it had a huge advertising budget. No, we promoted that movie. We didn't get shit. Nobody I know got shit. Their trailers were on things that Sony had partnerships with, or Disney and Barty. So I don't think they spent a lot of money on that movie at all.
Well, I
It
don't
was
even
a
think
great
there
movie.
was
No, and this
TV
is-
spots for it.
167 is before you figure in the fact that before the movie was even put out in the theaters, they had already had a streaming deal in place. So it is what it is, I don't think.
I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't hate Morbius.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, I didn't think it was
it's not
phenomenal,
I'm not,
but-
look, I want me to say this right now. I'm not saying it's good, but I would rather watch it than Ant-Man 3 or She-Hulk any day. I'll take
She-Hulk
Morbius.
yeah. And I thought She-Hulk should have been a lot better. I love the actress that plays her.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
script
she-
was bad.
They spent all their time trying to explain why Bruce Banner was nerfed for the rest of the show, for the other stuff. So they
Marvel
I
is
think-
the
for her.
I think
Marvel
the Hulk
has.
I think the Hulk has
I was
gotten
going to say, but
worse
Marvel
since
has done the Hulk
Avengers.
so dirty. They have done him so wrong since Endgame. Okay, that is why Edward Norton left, because I know Edward Norton can be kind of a diva, but Edward Norton was right. I will always stand by that because Edward Norton wanted to take the Hulk very seriously. He didn't want Marvel to make him into a joke. And this is exactly, when you watch She-Hulk, this is exactly what Edward Norton feared would happen. And yeah, I completely understand that. And look, I love Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo is fine, but he doesn't even compare to Edward Norton. I'm sorry.
Well, he didn't write. They don't. In all fairness, these actors, they don't write themselves as Lucy. So
I mean, they have a contract. I mean, what can you do? I mean, even like the Wong character. I mean, I was watching it with someone, and someone was telling, "Oh my god, like why would like I don't know, like the guy who plays Wong, like why would he be in this crappy TV show?" And I had to explain, like, well, that's part of the contract. Part of the contract if they have to appear in it, even if the script is shit, you know?
All right. Samir, just wanted to make sure, make one thing in regards. Well, WBD is $40 billion in debt. It's not going to make it back in a few years. No, they're not, but they got to bring it down. But yeah, it's going to take 10 plus years, even more if you don't have theme parks. I think, well, theme parks would be easy. They just don't have the infrastructure. But I think, I don't know if the goal is to get the debt down within a certain amount of time or to get it to the point where it is attractive enough to where the value of the company jumps up, because I think they're going to be operating a debt for a while. But you know what? That's not. There's a such thing as you can operate with a certain amount of operational debt. Netflix was spent 8 years, $14 billion in debt, but they made enough revenue to where their financiers, lenders, and people like that always knew at any point in time they would be good for either some of it or all of it. So they continued to get money, and they were continued to be able to generate revenue. The mass amount of money that Netflix generates on a monthly basis was so huge that they can operate. That's why they can spend money on things that people are like, well, how's they doing that when they're this, and that? Well, because the people backing them are always going to back them. That's the place where Warner Brothers needs to get to. There's a lot of billionaire companies that are in operational debt, and they can work with it as long as they're pulling in. The problem with Warner Brothers is they're not bringing in enough revenue, like a Netflix that's pulling in up $2 billion or whatever billion a month they are. I think it's actually a little bit more. When you're pulling in that much, you don't have to worry about $14 billion in debt. Eventually, you want to get it taken care of because you don't have to be a drag. But if you want to continue to operate at a high level and spend that kind of money, you can, because of the fact that you generate that kind of revenue. Warner Brothers is not in that case right now. They're not generating that type of revenue as far as like as a studio on any level. Their debt, and they inherited their debt. So it's gonna be a long process. I don't know if the goal is to make it back immediately, but it has to get within a manageable distance so that they can start going forward at a much faster pace. Right now, they got a lot of dead weight on them, especially as a new company.
I mean, I don't mean to bring this up, but I remember when Morbius came out, like I was watching a live stream, and like the person in the live that was comedy, and the two people that was saying that, oh my god, like this movie is so awful that Sony needs to give the rights to Marvel, like Marvel needs to take over. And I'm like, come on, guys.
Well, that's a lot of those fanboys. Like I said, that they cannot view anything through anything other than Marvel lenses. They want everything to be done with our Disney lenses. Yeah, they want every comic book IP story told through that lens.
Not every Marvel, I know, but not every Marvel movie needs to be from Disney. I'm sorry, but I like
Spider-Man. So
yeah, I know, and I'm sorry. This is a hot take, but I like the fact that Morbius is different. At least it doesn't feel like the MCU. That's the biggest.
What are your thoughts on Endeavor forcing Vince to sell the rest of his 30% ownership? Like, yeah, that was always going to happen. Of WDB, to which is equivalent to 8.3 million stock. Yeah, they want no part of him in the company, and that's the right move because he's a toxic element now, and his involvement, in anything is just not good. The Vince McMahon we all grew up with is not the one that from the last 15, 20 years. Endeavor wants nothing to do with him. They want, they'll be friendly with each other, but as far as like the company going forward, that's why immediately they took him out of power. Remember, Vince actually had a powerful part in that merger, but as soon as that merger was complete, he was gone. Triple H is running the show now, so that's a good thing. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up because this is only supposed to be like a it's hilarious. This is only supposed to be like a real quickie to replace the stream that we're.
I was gonna ask, have any of you guys watched any movies lately?
I've watched a lot of movies lately.
I did see
in
the Marvels
particular?
last night.
What'd
Yeah.
you think? Was it good?
It wasn't bad. It's like I definitely liked it. I definitely liked it more than the first one because I thought the first one was just dull as dishwater, and like Iman
Yeah.
Vellani, she really makes it. She really steals the show in this one.
I've heard that from all over. So,
I saw. I was going to say this. I saw Whiplash for the first time.
dude, what do you? That movie's been out.
Yeah, very powerful.
check
But
out
man,
that
J.K.
killer.
Simmons, man, I got to tell you, man, J.K. Simmons in that movie, it's just, whew,
Well, that's the one he
phenomenal.
won his Oscar for.
Yeah. So yeah, so I saw.
All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up.
All right.
I'm gonna wrap it up.
It's good talking to you guys.
Likewise.
Are you being serious, Samir, or are you just messing with me? You actually have one more thing? I don't want to. Well, like I said, I may be on later on tonight from the house. I just was on today right now just to let you guys know. Originally, just to let you guys know that I had fixed the issue with the stream that we're going to do tomorrow. I just have to bring in my headset so that we can run them on multiple platforms.
What time are we supposed to reconvene for the movie, or what time is the movie playing?
It's going to be 4 o'clock. Same time as what it's been today. It'll be 4 o'clock tomorrow.
I'm gonna just
So I'll do that.
go
I'll take
out.
a small break, and then we'll do our.
I'm gonna go out and put some. I got some new posters. I'm gonna put some more posters up in my wall in my Blu-ray collection. So I'm gonna be doing
that was your one more thing. I extended my stream for you to do that, Samir. All right, guys, let me get out of here. I will see you
All
guys.
right, see you guys later. Bye.
Later, guys.
Hold on. I might just kill Chappie. Let me bring him back in. I'll bring you back in, Chappie.
Yeah, it's like the whole time we're there.
No, hold on. We're still on. I want to talk to him.
Okay, Chappie, where are you?
Come on in, Chappie, because me and you got to butt some heads, buddy.
Okay.
Hold on. Oh, I get in the studio.
It's like the whole time they're just snickering
Yeah.
with what he was talking about.
I'm gonna put that link back in here. Chappie, come on back in, buddy. You and me gotta go. Where is he at? I know we're still live. I'm gonna mess with Chappie because that whole time you were laughing during my stream. Where is he?
You come, Batman?
He comes. Because I wanted to get rid of everybody, so it's just me, you, and him. All that laughing. All right. Anyway, so what do we got? Is he still there? He's still there. So tomorrow I have no topics for tomorrow yet.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was gonna end this one real quick, but I was gonna play around with Chappie a little bit, but he left. That whole time. I'm like, dude.
We'll get you next time, man. Yeah, Chappie,
I'm gonna get you, Chappie.
Please keep that to a minimum during Seven Samurai tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna Chappie. If you're listening, I'm gonna have to have another Cloverfield moment with you. Have another Cloverfield. Me and you're gonna go at it, but all right. Now let's end the show for real because I got to go get something to eat.
All right, later, guys.
All right.